Yo, guys, it's the kid. So, just as a little, just kind of like introduction into what this is about, man. So, as I said again, I wanted to do club focused shows. So, shows focused on certain clubs and trying to dissect exactly what clubs are about. So, from Real Madrid, Barcelona, Liverpool, we may get into Juventus and all of these guys as well. The whole idea is to be able to get these clubs and for us to have like a live show 100% dedicated to these certain clubs. So look, there's going to be a Scunthorpe show, then going to be a Elche show. I'm sorry. So these are for the clubs that are really the most famous, the most popular, with the most people that have interests. So we're going to see Real, Barca, PSG, Liverpool, Juventus, so forth, Man United even as well. And yeah, it is so the key thing is anybody who is a supporter of any of those clubs, send me a message via the official website or send me a message via Twitter. My DMs are open. My DMs are open. Send me a message if you want to be part of the show. I think ideally we want to have guys who have their cameras on and so forth. So you must have a good camera and a good mic. So if you have a good camera and good mic, then we can ride and we can see what's up. So for the first of this series, we are rolling with Real Madrid. We may be getting another guy in here, but you guys know who Red is. You guys know who Monta is from the years and years of the hangout. And of course, we're joined here by Rebirth. But also, so remember, guys, Rebirth, I think I saw your camera open. So Rebirth, if you want to use your camera, please feel free to turn your camera on to give a bit of a visual. But I think Red said that your setup isn't too good. But Monta as well, if you want to turn on your camera, it's fun because I think people like to see the whole visuals and everything, man. So, yeah, cool. Do you know what's funny, Rebirth? I didn't know that you were black. All this time I thought you were white. so, so cool, man. Nice to have you on board,
Yeah,
man.
and
So,
HH, we're on lockdown here. I can't go to the barber, and I'm not turning on my. I'm a mess, HH.
no, Red. I don't know, Red. If your camera is functioning, turn on your mother effing camera. Nobody gets. We are talking about football here. We're not on like a model run or anything. So, guys, if you have a camera, turn on your bloody cameras, man, and let's guys visually see you.
H, I just want to hide my identity, isn't it? Because I don't want to be famous, huh?
Okay. so wait. So Red, is your camera functional?
I'll pass this time, HH, because I have a piece of tape on it, so I'd have to take it off and wipe it down and everything. Like I just don't have the utility.
Red, come on, man! It's a freaking camera, guys. Like you don't need to look presentable like that. Just if you can do it, turn on your bloody camera, man. Come on, man. Don't.
Later on. I'll start getting on it right now, so I'll turn it on in a bit.
Okay, all right, man. All right. So let us first start with our first piece of news, man. So this is about Ramos. So we just hit my thingy. Sergio Ramos. Now, let me start by saying this. Ramos, I think, has to go down as one of Real Madrid's greatest ever players. Scored Real Madrid's most famous goal, that crazy game against Atletico Madrid, where he scored in that final minute. 100% one of the best defenders of his generation. That's without a doubt. One of the most decorated players, and a player who, again, this is a separate conversation where we can make an argument as is he part of the greatest defenders of all time. We can make that argument. I don't think he is, but we can start the argument. I believed Ramos was going to retire at Real Madrid. That's what I believed. I just believed that he is so in tune with Real. He's so in tune with the club. He so encapsulates what the club is about, like the heart, the desire, the tricky tactics, win at all costs, that it was just an assumption that he was going to stay. So this is definitely going to be a point where we now bring in Perez and we bring in the kind of politics and the underpinnings of the club. But he has rejected the one-year contract offer. There is definitely the issue of when Varane is not partnered with Sergio Ramos, it's an issue. So I just want to just get a temperature from the room as to your thoughts on this, your views on this, and how you think it will affect Real Madrid. Because remember, guys, this is a defender. If it's a striker, okay, 30-something. What's it called? I think Costa Curta played till he was 37, 38. Maldini played, he was so 37, 38, 39. So Ramos still has many good years in him, and the best defenders know how to tweak their game to play further on, because defending is not about physicality, it's about reading the game. So I'll come first to Red on this, man. So Red, in your view, your thoughts on Ramos, and do you think that because do you think the club should have done more to keep him, or do you think this was beyond reproach and it just reached a point of no return for them to be able to keep a hold of him? So, what is your view on the whole Ramos situation?
I mean, to be honest with you, HH, like, in my opinion, on the whole topic as a whole, like, I don't believe, like, I think this is all optics, maybe negotiation. Like, he's probably just trying to get a little bit more, but like, I don't believe he's gonna leave. He's done this before. Like, I remember 2015.
Oh, so you don't think that this is real?
No, it just happened like 3 times before. Like the last time it happened, I think was 2 years ago. Same thing was happening, and like Perez sort of positioned Ramos in a villainous position, and he sort of caved and signed the renewal till 2021. So like I don't believe, really, I don't buy these stories. Like I think like for Ramos, like you already said it yourself. Like he's won everything, he's done everything. Like he would stay at Madrid. Like like going to another club won't add anything to him. Like there's nothing more he has to prove. Like for him, legacy wise, he's achieved everything. So like
okay, but devil's advocate. Let me just play devil's advocate here.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that what if PSG are offering him a lot of money, and he may just want something new and to try something different for the rest of his career? And what if there may be something between him and Perez where that relationship has broken down, and he feels, for the last phase of my career, let me go and enjoy myself for what is an exciting project at PSG?
Possibly, if he wants to do that, then he could go. Like, to be honest with you, there's no player that's bigger than the club. Like, if we let Ronaldo go, anybody could go. To be honest with you, like, it's not like I'm not the type of Real Madrid fan that holds the players in high regard. Like, I judge them, criticize them based off season to season. And Ramos wants to retire and wants to leave at the top. Allow him to leave at the top. He doesn't want to stay and decline with the club. I feel like that's very fair, and he's entitled to do so. And if he moves on, like, we're Real Madrid, so we'll always have that pulling power, and we could always pull in. Like, we can get some great defenders. Like, I'm pretty sure if they knock on Koulibaly's door and tell him, hey, do you want to be a starting center back at Real Madrid? Now that Ramos is gone, we got a position opening. You can come and fight for it. We have Alaba. We're linked to Alaba. Alaba is a proven defender, very versatile, can play left back, left wing, can play center midfield, CDM, center back. Like, he's a great utility player. Obviously, losing Ramos is a massive loss, but like, time heals all. Like, overall, like, maybe we might not replace him immediately, but we'll survive. Like, we like, it's Real Madrid, HH. Like,
so okay, so for instance, that's what I was going to go. So if, let's say, he was to leave, it wouldn't, because see, I don't want to get to this name yet, but let me just throw it in, but because this is definitely like another kind of throwback topic I want to do towards the end. But let me just throw it in. What would hurt more? Just if you just compare the two, Ramos leaving or Cristiano leaving?
I'll be honest with you, like, it's kind of equal, but to be honest with you, when Ronaldo left, I think it has a more lasting impact because of the goals. Right, like when a defender defends, like, to be honest with you, it took Ramos 10 years before he got recognition. It wasn't until like 2014 till he really started getting recognition. 9 years he was a top level defender. Even when he won the World Cup, he didn't even get that much credit. But it was until 2014, till that goal, that people started paying attention to him and his talents. Of course, he was a right back, but but defenders don't really get that kind of recognition. Whereas Ronaldo leaving is a felt impact. Like, we're scoring less goals. Like, our only problem right now is not conceding; it's goals. We just don't score. And like, so I feel like Ronaldo, I felt his impact a bit more. If, like, let's say Ramos were to leave tomorrow, I'd feel Ronaldo's impact.
Okay. Munzaha, what about you? Where do you stand on the whole situation? I don't know. We can see the freaking avatar as well.
Oh my god, bro! This is upsetting, man. This is, like, to be honest, Perez, man. Like, for me, what I expected from Perez is, like, I knew this is like Perez politics, and this is nothing new. What we are have been experiencing from past seasons with regards to Casillas, with Raúl, and like even with Ronaldo. And like, for me, this is like inevitable. This is what's coming. So ultimately, how you replace Ramos? That's the question number one, right? Because he pretty much rejected the first, the contract offer which you gave him. Because you're telling me, he's one of the top global superstars, and you're giving him 30 million euro salary. That's it, and you're only providing him 2 years of contract. You're telling me, okay, he just lost a bit of pace, and you're not giving him contract extension of 2 years. You're just giving him 1 year. I believe that's disrespect. I know it's a club policy. I know no player is bigger than club. 100% I agree with you. But this is the one of the greatest servants in the club's history. This is not an average player. Let's be honest, okay? This is like your Spanish or Mr. Madridista. This guy's a Mr. Madridista. You cannot treat it like that. This is my personal opinion. Secondly, if Ramos leaves, and you tell me who have a long-lasting effect, I agree with Red to some extent with goals. But right, when Ramos doesn't play, the equilibrium is gone. Pretty much your back four is useless. Let's be honest. Aside from Mondi, okay, last season, can you tell me in the absence of Ramos, which player actually showed up in defense, including Casemiro? Can you give me 3 games of Real Madrid in the absence of Ramos? They showed up aside from Mondi.
No, but see, this is why it gets tricky, because Cristiano is irreplaceable. There is nobody you can find in the world, maybe apart from Messi, who can get you the goals that Cristiano got. And I don't think even Messi can, because we'll get to Cristiano because of the amount of goals that he has scored. But I think with Ramos, it's the intangibles and it's the leadership as well, because I think for football is more than just what you see in stats. So I say, people, you have to look beyond the numbers. What Ramos gives the team is that leadership and that belief. So if he was to leave, would there be any player who could be able to fill that void? Could Benzema fill that void?
Ultimately, I cannot see anyone aside from Modric. Benzema is a silent leader. Let's not discredit Benzema's leadership skills. 100%, Benzema is like a silent leader who leads attack and everything. But to be honest, from a back to carry a team with that kind of repertoire, I think so. That's irreplaceable. I don't think so. Anyone could replace that immediately. And secondly, forget about the intangibles. What about tangibles? Alaba. How much Alaba can contribute? If you see right now, okay, Alaba's might be at peak, right? So we haven't seen yet Alaba's actually defensive performance peak. We might see if he replaced, but still, Varane is sketchy. Is Alaba that good leader? Let's be honest. Can he pretty much carries Varane with his intangibles?
So basically, if it was you would give Ramos the 3-year, 4-year contract?
Definitely not 3 years, 4 years, but 2 years what he is demanding, to be honest. Because right, look, the problem with Perez is that he's really good at buying a player from like from scratch, but he is really bad in replacing. Can you tell me who did Perez replace with Gareth Bale with, or with Ronaldo with, or what's his plan with the Benzema, or what's his plan with the Luka Modric replacements? What are his plans with Casemiro, Toni Kroos? I mean, bro. Okay, the only replacement I see he bought, to be honest, because of Zidane is Mondi with Marcelo's replacement. Let's be honest over here. And Courtois with Casillas, with Calanevis. But I believe that's a pound-to-pound replacement. So doesn't matter that much, to be honest, because we have goalkeepers in the market at that time. And that was a really nice signing. Ultimately, HH, the point is how you will replace Ramos. Because if you take off Ramos, right? So Varane, how can we trace Varane? Alaba partnership from.
Can I say one quick thing, just to interject, just one thing about the leadership point?
Yeah, go ahead.
This team has veterans, has like you have Casemiro is a leader, Modric is a leader. Like sure they weren't leader, but they've established themselves. They have seniority. They have a spine. Like we have a spine in the club. Like Ramos isn't like the pillar that's holding the club up top. Like he is a pillar, but he's not the pillar. Like you have to
disagree with.
No, I do agree with you. Like he, of course, his imprint is like on every trophy he has. He left his print. He has his legacy. I'm not denying his ability, but I am saying that like he's not the be all end all. No player is. The best example you can give of a club that relies on a player way too much is Barcelona's Lionel Messi, and they will exist post Lionel Messi. Will they have the same numbers? No, but like bro, they'll get there. Like everybody, eventually, time heals all. We might feel the impact for a year, 2 years, 3 years, maybe, but like a new generation will come in, and then the next talent will come in. Everything ends, and I think that's it. Like leadership, like bro, you're right. It's a valid.
Wait, but real quick, because I need to get to the tour.
I just want to add quickly one point.
Okay.
My point is, why not smooth transition? Why the transition always have to be in a Titanic fashion? That's my point. Like if you see, go ahead.
No, okay. So last, because I want to move to Rebirth after this. Do you think he will leave? Yes or no? In this window, do you think he will leave? Yes or no?
I think so. He's leaving for Man City
This month or in the summer?
in the summer.
Shit. Okay. So Rebirth, what about you? Where do you stand on this whole Sergio Ramos thing? Do you think that Real Madrid can cope? How much of a loss could it be if he leaves? Do you think he will leave?
Okay, so I got a lot of points here. So first, I think as far as the rift in relation to negotiations, I think that's just how it goes. Very few negotiations are smooth because at the end of the day, it's a business. You want to maximize the amount of profit you can get. And so hearing news here and there, at the end, I think.
Well, wait, actually, wait, so I can say, by the way, your posters are fucking amazing. By the way, yeah,
cool. I got an anime channel, so I need to.
Oh yeah.
Secondly, I think when you look at Ramos in terms of the reasons he has to stay, I think logically speaking, the only real reason he has to stay is his love for Madrid. In terms of money, he can get that elsewhere. In terms of competing, he can get that elsewhere. The real only, like as far as Perez is concerned, the only real thing he can offer is this is your home. You've been here for a long time. You love this place. Why don't you stay? Aside from that, he can get it anywhere else he wants to go. An aspect that I feel like we're overlooking also is COVID. Clubs don't have money right now. It's really, really tough. And I want to give Perez a little bit more credit for this because Barcelona going into bankruptcy, all these clubs, Perez has done a really good job of balancing the checks so far. You don't really hear as much because they're struggling. Absolutely, they're struggling, but he's managed it pretty well. And it's kind of hard for him to just like splash money out there when COVID. These guys don't have money. They really don't.
Rebirth. Can I ask you a quick question, right? Yes. So you're not ready to pay Ramos 13 million, but you're ready to pay 20 million to 17 million for David Alaba. 4 years. And especially you said like because in this COVID pandemic time, so how can you afford 20 mils to pay for David Alaba wages, but not 13 mils for Ramos wages? Like that doesn't make sense.
Can I answer that?
Yes.
Because they're going to be paying it over increments. It's not one sum fee. They're not going to pay him 20 million immediately. That's going to be over time. They could generate revenue and make money off his image and everything, and pay him from that. Pay him his cut. Like it's not. It's not the same because he's a free transfer. We're not paying for a player.
Right, and he's also younger, so it is a longer-term investment as well. So I think, in terms of that, as far as the replacement of Ramos, I think Ramos can be replaced. Defending can be replaced. Cristiano, I think that there's something special about Cristiano. We'll talk about him later, I understand that. Cristiano is a different kind of beast. There's really, whether you appreciate him or not, there's only one other player who can strike that level of fear into opponents, and his name is Messi. Other than that, there isn't any other player who can do that. We've tried to Hazard. Hazard is a damn good player. Benzema is a really good player. Jovic hasn't lived up to expectations. We've tried and failed. All right. Ramos, Alaba is not on the level of Ramos, but he can do the job. Koulibaly can do the job. There are other players who can do the job. But Cristiano, you don't replace Cristiano. So I think you put a good offer out there. If he doesn't take it, you say a very, very nice goodbye. Because at the end of the day, like Real Madrid is going to be here after him, especially like the worst, as in the whole what you lose by losing an important player. What you saw from Cristiano, that's as worse as it's going to get. Any other player leaves, it's not going to look this bad. So Cristiano has shown you this is as bad as Real Madrid is going to look after losing two of like two of the most important players of generation, and we don't even look half bad. We won the league. Like there's levels to it.
I think that is a fair point though, because again, I did fear that if Cristiano leaves, what's going to happen to Real? Well, they won the league. They won the league, and now you would still argue that they are still favorites to win the league this season. But before I go to guy out below Real Madrid, do you feel that just looking at the intangibles, leadership, dressing room, culture, and so forth, and just that kind of character, do you think anybody can fill that void? And do you think that there will still be a chasm will still be created by him leaving? 100%. Of course, Real are going to survive. I'm just saying that what will Real Madrid miss from Ramos, him leaving, specifically with the intangibles that he brings?
I think intangibles are character traits, but they can be learned. I don't think Ramos, when he first came, he immediately had this level of Madrismo. Like it's like an atmosphere in the locker room and in the nature around the club. And then certain people absorb it easier than others, which is like has to do with the character. So if you put like a character who I think is, a really good leader. Let's just take Virgil van Dijk as an example. You take him, you put him into that dressing room because he already has that leadership quality. He just absorbs whatever's there and then magnifies it. So Ramos has a lot of Madrismo and all that good stuff, but it can be replaced. If you find another person with that attitude, you put him in there, he's going to absorb it all, and then boom, you got the next one. That's how he got it. Before it was Casillas and
Reba, like
it flows. It flows from person to person.
But Reba, but I have a question, right? Who's the Madrismo? Huh?
Bro,
in the club
yeah,
right
Modric.
now. Like Modric, Tony Kroos.
I mean,
like a Spanish national?
yeah, like not in terms of like Spanish, but who will be the guy who will, like, for example, from such a young age, at the age of 18 or 20 or 21, have that talent
Muntaha,
of being potential of Ramos level?
I want to ask you a question.
Let's be honest.
Bro, I want to ask you a question. Isn't Ramos himself a Hierro replacement? Wasn't Hierro Ramos before Ramos? Hierro had 102 goals for Real Madrid. Hierro won 3 Champions Leagues with Real Madrid.
No.
But I think Ramos brought, because I remember Hierro very well. I think Ramos brought something more. I think that what Ramos brings, Hierro was a kind of a standard kind of captain. I think Ramos was a different kind of character. Hierro didn't have the kind of cutting edge, that kind of ruthlessness that Ramos has.
No, but
Hierro was just Hierro was sort of similar to a lamb, but maybe a bit more vocal, more like a silent leader who was very respected.
That is true, but it's like let's rewind back to 15 years, 2005, right? The signing of Sergio Ramos. Like when you go back that far, nobody's gonna say this kid that we signed is gonna surpass Hierro. Nobody's going to say this kid that we signed scored 102 goals. These things just happen over time. It's just like gradually, year after year after year, like these players are going to build upon their legacy. And that's after the end of it, that's when the center back is really judged and valued. Maldini was not valued in his early stages of his career. He really only started being appreciated in the 2000s. Throughout the 90s, they were giving praise to other center backs. Even, let's say, it always happens like that. Even Boateng, when he was at City, it took him like till 2017 till he started really being rated among the world's best. It takes longer for defenders. So to Muntaha, I'm just saying, like, I understand that the loss of Ramos is going to be big, but again, time heals all. Eventually, it will all balance out. Another player is going to rise and he's going to hit that form and he's going to exceed Ramos.
Wait, easy, no, because I have to bring in another guy. So, Mr. Real Madrid, Barca are the bonus. So, your thoughts on this whole Ramos situation, Mr. John Ice?
This is Real Madrid. You see my name? This is not Barcelona. This is Real Madrid. Ramos is a player can be replaced, but as a character, he's irreplaceable. Almost like your Shades HH. You had him Shades for like 10 years now. So
well, actually, 1 year actually. But
how long had them Shades?
Man, ask to talk about Ramos, man. Talk about Ramos, man.
Yeah, but Ramos can't be replaced. But I see what Perez is doing. You're trying to give him a 1-year contract. Real Madrid is not the only club that give players in their 30s 1-year contract. You've seen a Chelsea, even Barcelona, even though they're dead right now, but I'm just saying. But Ramos is the greatest defender ever. I don't care what anybody want to say. PK, Puel. Ramos is the greatest ever. I want him to stay at Madrid. I wish he will stay. I don't think he will leave. I feel like he's using PSG as he's just using him to get a contract or something. But I want him to stay. I don't feel like he's
but do you think he's replaceable? Though? Obviously, Real Madrid will survive beyond him. But do you think that he can be replaced? I.e., the value he brings to the team.
He can be replaced as a player. Ramos is not a great defender. I know it's hardest coming from a Real Madrid fan, but he's not a great defender, but he's a great character. He's a great leader. He's a great overall player, but he's not a great defender. Alaba can easily replace him on the pitch. I don't know how Varane would play with Alaba, but he can be replaced on the pitch. But as a character, he's irreplaceable.
But see, that's where things get very dangerous because, yes, Alaba is a good, decent central defender. But obviously, we will get to Alaba before, but I just think that Ramos, his leadership qualities is very key. And remember, he's played central defense a lot longer than Alaba has. Alaba has only played central defense for one season. He's normally a left back. Ramos has played central defense now for 5, 6, 7 years after switching from right back. So again, for me, I see, and I would push back and say that he's not a great defender. He's a very good defender. I just don't think he is part of the elite of defenders. But he is still a great defender, even despite his fouls, in terms of just the defensive work, reading of the game, and so forth. When Ramos has a good game, he looks very, very good. So, but you still feel, okay, so do you think he will leave either this window or in the summer?
No, Ramos won't leave. He has Real Madrid in his blood. He won't leave. I feel like him and Perez will come to an agreement. Probably by next week, he's going to sign a contract. I hope it's 2 years because I don't want him to leave. Even if it's on the bench, I just want his presence in Real Madrid because we need him. We're going to need him.
Okay, so
HJ, I have a quick question.
wait.
For,
Okay. Let me just take a few of the chats and then I'll come to you real quick. So, shit, what the fuck is this? Wait, oopsie. Okay, what is it? Okay. Monsa, what were you gonna say?
Yeah. So the question was because we all knew that where we are heading right now. We are heading to sign the big superstars, like for example Mbappe's, your Salah's, or whatever, right? Your Haaland or whatever. Okay.
So
Yeah, no, I'm just throwing the name because we are just linked with them. So okay, so the question is, what if Ramos leaves in the summer, and out of nowhere we end up like 18-19 season when Ronaldo left? Then how you will lure or attract these superstars because we are not anymore top in that season or in the next season immediately. So you're not top 5, top 3 club anymore.
But it's still Real Madrid.
What are you going to do that? Let's be honest. No, I understand. No, I understand. But let's be honest over here, because if you see some of these players like Mbappe, Haaland's, your Salah's, and all these guys, I mean, they want to win the Champions League. They want to compete for Champions League. And what if we end up like 18-19 season? Can you again track those players? I mean, it's difficult. So you're pretty much jeopardizing your project of getting those big name superstars in the next 2 years. So you're jeopardizing it. So
Okay. So actually, real quick, let me just read these chats because we have to move on real quick. So, from Martin Rosario says, I know it's a Madrid show, but can we slander CFC? Heck freaking no. That's for Thursday. Okay, thank you. That's for Thursday. From Mr. Patrick Ode Aforte says that you talk about leaders in the squad. Then how come Madrid crashed out of the UCL against City last year? Ajax, Ramos didn't play in either game. So, actually, let's end on that. So, do you think that Ramos didn't play in any of those games and they pretty much crashed out? So, do you think that you do feel the loss of Ramos?
Well,
specifically in the CL?
Well, that is true. So we crashed out and Ramos didn't play. I think that's just because the whole focus of switching out Ramos is not just to switch a defender for a defender. You want to regain some of the qualities that he has in another person. That person is not Militao. So, quite frankly, it is true that we crashed out. That just showcases what would happen if you don't fill his shoes, but they can be filled. Militao is just not the one to fill it. And so in a different scenario where you have a off season to get a player, you would get someone who can fit in for you. So, you don't run into the same issues, I think.
Okay. So, I want to move on to Alaba right now, man. So it is now said that Real Madrid are very much in line to get David Alaba. And here's my thing. A few things here, then I'll kick it over to the red. It's a very good smart buy. DM, left back, centre back, quality player. And for me, I think that he was definitely one of the best performers for Bayern Munich. And I think that Bayern Munich are making a mistake allowing him to go. Yeah, you may say that his performance may have dipped. I think it's a mistake. I feel that him coming into Real Madrid, I think for Alaba, I'm not too sure because I'm like, okay, I don't know whether you'll play many games, but for in Real Madrid's point of view, it is a great purchase. Here's the thing though. 2 quality central defenders don't necessarily make a great defensive partnership. Militao is a good defender. So is Varane. But they don't work as well as a partnership as Varane does with Ramos. So the issue is, and this is what you have to know is, first thing is, how is Alaba going to now work with Varane? Will they be able to form a formidable partnership, and what is their communication going to be like? The second thing is, how is Zidane going to use him? How is he going to employ him, and how will he fit into the system? So if it's a situation that Ramos leaves and Alaba comes in, Do you think that he is going to have a major, profound impact on Real Madrid? Come first to Red.
I think this is an amazing buy. To be honest with you, these are the standards I have for transfers to Real Madrid: proven winners, proven personalities, top defenders. Alaba, there's no guaranteed formula. Nobody knows when you buy a player if he's gonna hit the ground running or be a surprise buy. It takes time sometimes. Like even if you look at Lucas Hernandez to Bayern, first year was completely injured. Second year he killed it. He was among the world's best center backs. It takes time. So like I said, it's not going to be. I don't. My standards I don't expect Alaba to hit the ground running. It's going to take some time to build chemistry, especially your understanding as a center back duo. It has to be like top notch to know when to step up to catch him on an offside trap, to know when to track your defender, when to let him run. That kind of chemistry takes a while. But like to be honest with you, doing business with Bayern is always a pleasure. Like Bayern rarely. Like usually their players are very well drilled, they're very well organized. That club, the way they run is it's a very well run organization, and their players are very professional. And like you're guaranteed a quality product, right? There are clubs that say, for example, that players don't really have the respect or something. Like for example, I'll give you an example. Like even from Real Madrid, for example, like Theo Hernandez, when he went to AC Milan. Like he was a reckless player. At Madrid, he wasn't training properly. He was constantly partying. It was all his Instagram was all just fashion, and that was a big reason why he failed at Madrid. He got too big too quick. He went to Milan and he developed, and now look at him, he's a top player, right? So, but like at Madrid, he didn't work out, but at Milan, he did. So going to Madrid, it's not going to guarantee that like Alba's going to work, but like I would much prefer a proven defender, somebody that's proven, somebody that's top notch. Hopefully, you can build up the chemistry, and this is the perfect buy, like for us.
Yeah. All right, Munsaha.
Yeah, actually, I pretty much agree with Red over there because he hit the nail on the right spot. Because if you see that, like, who's like utmost right now replacement for Ramos in the market? Van Dijk is not leaving ultimately, so who's there? It's I believe this guy. I mean, David Alaba.
Hey, whoa, hold up. Are you really putting? Yes, he may be available. Let's not put Alaba in the same category as a Van Dijk. Alaba is a very good multi-purpose player. Are we now calling Alaba a great center?
Wait. But if you see from the perspective of a defending, Alaba last season, I mean, when Bayern won the Champions League, he had some contributions. It's not like he's like ass or something like that. He's not. He has positional sense.
No, HH praised him on the Hangout post in the Champions League post.
No. He's not. See, for me, I just think you have to look at this thing. You have to cover all bases, which is that you shouldn't be too reactionary and just come at this.
No.
But 365. No. Because what I'm saying is, yes, he was quality during that year. That's the first year he's played centre back. He doesn't have a record of 3, 4, 5 years knowing the position. So that's just something just to be aware of. But continue.
No, I agree with you, but right now, who's more established than Alaba aside from Van Dijk? I mean, Van Dijk is a better defender. That's not the question. But who's more established right now in terms of playing a big club, big position,
Skriniar is a good
pressure.
defender.
No, but
I disagree.
Skriniar is not the defender that we need. Like, Sarmata, just to cut you off real quick, Ramos was a right back, makeshift center back, right? He was a right back initially, and his biggest attributes that made him play it like as being a center back was playing from the back. It wasn't his defending. You said that yourself, HH. His defending is not top notch, especially in the early years. Like if you're talking about like 2011, 2012, 2013, when he was like sort of transitioning to that position, he wasn't the best of the best. It was really 2014 up until 2020 where he really has been considered among the world's best. Like for a long time, Boateng was rated above for Ramos. Even on, let's say, FIFA, if you look at the FIFA ratings from FIFA 17, FIFA 16, Ramos was not like, he would get informed cards, but that's it. So Alaba is a great ball playing center back. He's great with possession. His attributes, his ball play, like his like quality on the ball is of the level, like is on par with Ramos's, and that's what we're replacing. Because at Madrid, you don't just need to defend; you also need to create from the back. You need to be able to be forward. Alaba can score goals. Alaba hit 3 kicks for Bayern for a period. Like he is the kind of player that like is appropriate to replace Ramos. But,
yeah, and 100% I agree with that, and that's what we want, like a technical defender, center back, should I say that? Oh yeah.
All right, Rebirth.
Yeah, so there was I really appreciated the point that Red made with comparison with Theo Hernandez. I think a very good example of that currently in our squad is Luka Jovic, who, due to the rift and the issues he's having, you see the man, he's hired a personal trainer, and you can see that the circumstance in the club, the way it's run, actually has an impact on the players. And so, as a manager, you always want to make sure you're buying players from well-run organizations, because there's a very good chance they have the intangibles you want, which, like you guys have said, David Alaba certainly has. I do have to wonder, though, in the scenario that Ramos doesn't leave, what's he gonna do? Is Varane gonna sit? Is he gonna take Carvajal or Mendy's spot? Like, because we're all talking, like, it's almost as if is the idea here that if Alaba says yes, then Ramos is out. And I mean, if Ramos goes out in the summer, then it's like, okay, cool. He only has to sit for what, a few months, and then he's.
Reba, do you remember at the time of Pepe, Varane, and Ramos? Remember how we used to make shift position, for example, for a few games, like Varane and Pepe used to be partner, in La Liga games, and even Champions Leagues as well. So I think
that would do that anymore, though.
No. I'll tell you. The reason is not doing right now because there is no quality aside from Ramos and Varane. There's no one. Who's Pepe? You're telling me Nacho? You're telling me Militao? On top of that, if you see the player forced him to stick with his first 11 from a couple of 6-7 games, and that's what we're getting the result. Yes, but from the future perspective, from the next season perspective, you need to have a quality, on the bench, for example. So it might be around on the bench.
Like, Alaba is signing up to be a bench player. I mean, albeit even if it's a consistent bench player, he's signing up to be a bench player. Like, I don't know that. Like, is he cool with that?
No. It's because basically that is the key point that I was always been saying. Because I said that, like, look, if Ramos stays, this has to be a money move. The reason why he's leaving Bayern Munich is because he's not getting the money that he feels he deserves. Alaba isn't stupid. He must know that if everybody is fit, he doesn't start. Because he is not starting ahead of Mendy. That's not happening. He's not starting ahead of Casemiro. That's not happening. He ain't starting ahead of either Ramos or Varane. So for Alaba, if he must be aware. So if he's aware, this must be a move that is purely for money. Hence why it is great for Real Madrid. For Alaba, are you happy not always playing?
HH.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I made my point. That's my only. Yeah. That's the only thing.
Yeah. Don't you think Varane? Alaba is a better defender for Varane?
It depends. Like, for me, I am not willing just to say that Alaba is overall a better defender than Varane because we don't have a large sample size. We just have 1 year. One very good year, but one pretty good year. And from what Bayern fans have been saying to me, he has. No.
Bayern fans are salty. They're salty.
Oh, no. This was even before this whole stuff was happening. People have said, he's going to. But my thing, though, is I have to respect Varane's larger sample size. I can't just say that because a guy has played his first year at centre-back, he's better than a guy who has played several years at centre-back. One of those years, which is when you guys won the Champions League, he was arguably one of the best central defenders in the world. So I think it's disingenuous to say after he's played for 1 year, he's now automatically overall a better defender than Varane. No, that's unfair.
No, but but the key here might be better partnership with Ramos and Alaba. Could be the better partnership. We don't know, because.
No. Yeah. But see, and that's the issue, because the issue you have is based on the system that Zidane plays. Varane needs a good partner. See, Deschamps' system, it doesn't matter because it's much more defensive, it's much more pragmatic, and Varane looks a lot better. But in a system there's much more of a wider space between the midfield and the attack because Zidane wants the midfield to be a lot more progressive and it seems to be a lot more progressive. It is very important that the communication between the two central defenders is key because you're constantly facing counterattacks. So you need to know who goes up, who goes back, who goes man-to-man, who goes zonal. So Ramos and Varane obviously have a great communication. But with Varane and Militao, it obviously doesn't work. Hence why Real really gets exposed because of Zidane's open system. So my thing is this, that it's a gamble because you don't know how good the communication between Alaba and Varane is because if they don't work well, you're screwed. So see, if they don't work well and Ramos leaves, Real Madrid are screwed.
And that's my point ultimately. So that's the worrying part about this deal or this kind of trade. So if you allow Ramos to go, then That's big issue. That's why I want a smooth transition. The transition I wanted to give Ramos was 1 or 2 years. Bring on David Alaba. Let David Alaba settle into defense, and then Ramos can leave.
You know why I think it's gonna be a good partnership, Varane and Alaba? Because Alaba plays exactly like Ramos, minus his character. He's good on the ball. He takes free kick. He's the one in the defense that like steps out to
No,
like win the ball.
No,
no,
I
no,
disagree.
no. But what is,
With
you see,
that.
you are disrespecting Ramos.
Yes,
Because again,
100%.
as I said again, you've seen 1 year of this guy play centre back when he's played 90% of his career at left back. Ramos has played for the past 5-6 years at centre back. That is a much larger sample size, and you have seen him do it at the highest level consistently. Okay, like if you look at that, I think it was the 2018 one when Real Madrid played Juventus, Bayern Munich, PSG. Ramos was key. So I haven't seen Alaba in that tough of a Champions League run say what's up, because let's keep it real. Who did Bayern play? Barcelona, complete waste. Lyon, really? I mean, how much thing am I going to give to Lyon? Chelsea, we're going to say those guys were not even ready. So the look as they faced was really Tuchel's PSG. So I'm sorry, that isn't a better example of degree of difficulty as opposed to what Ramos faced in that 2018 CL run. So, but let's move on to another dude right now. So this is another rumor, but it's a transfer rumor, but also I want to also get into this guy, Vinicius Jr. Okay, look. Okay, so first off, the whole transfer thing, Arsenal have been hovering and so forth. So I just want you to give your
Take him.
Yo,
thoughts as to easy, chill.
relax,
And
man.
Arsenal. But for me, I want this to be an overall larger Vinicius Jr. discussion, because here's my thing about Vinicius. It's tricky. It's tricky. He makes things happen, and he's got a great psychology, because he's got a great fearless psychology, which is that he'll keep trying and trying and trying. And by the law of averages, sometimes it can pop off. Vinicius can literally win a game for Real Madrid, as he has done, or he can do something as an individual to help Real Madrid win a game, which is a great thing to have as someone at such a young age. The adverse is there are times when he looks horrible and looks really bad and looks completely hopeless. And this is what I said. I want to have you guys thoughts on this. Vinicius has the raw materials and tools to be a great player. He has the tools to be a world-class player. He's very young. And I think under the right coach, 3-4 years, if you just improve his decision-making, improve his ball control, improve his touch, and he knows when and when not to dribble, I think you have an extremely dangerous wide player. Is Zidane the man to improve Vinicius? I'm not too sure. Because Zidane, I don't think there's any player that he's actually improved. He's great to man-to-man management. He's great at working with ready-made talents and getting them to the best of the ability, which is what he did for the 3 CLs. But for someone like Vinicius, I don't see a guy who is improving and a guy, because he's making the same mistakes again and again, and he has made the same mistakes again and again. I'm like, my gosh, this guy will overrun the ball. This guy will not find the cross. This guy will just use his pace too much. This guy is a bit too excited whenever he has the ball and doesn't have the maturity to calm down. This is where you make a pass. Think 3-4 steps ahead when you have the ball. And these are things that a coach should take him aside and talk to him. Because see, if he was doing this when he was 20, 29, screwed. At this young of an age, he is ready to learn. And if you have situations where you now have one of your leaders in Benzema saying, bro, don't pass to the dude, then what's it supposed to do to the guy's confidence if he doesn't have a guiding force to tell him where to go? So first to Red, do you believe in Vinicius, and would you still be willing to keep Vinicius, and do you feel like Vinicius can flourish under Zidane, or are you happy just to cut ties and allow Vinicius to go? Oh, your mic.
Oh, sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, cool. Now, yeah.
So Vinicius, I'd say keep him. The thing is with Vinicius, he's not an all-round attacker. He's not all round. Like as a forward, he's not developed yet, and his development does look stagnant at the moment. But like He is, for people that are watching long enough, he's making much better decisions. He's not as good at the ball as before, but he's a tool. HH. He's simply a tool. He's a one-trick pony. He's a weapon for Zidane off the bench. He's a weapon for Zidane to start the match with. Like just a player like I feel like he's going to play a key part in the game against Atalanta. I think they've struggled with players of his ilk, players that are really good with the ball at their feet, with like a lot of momentum, a lot of speed, and Vinicius like can punish a lot of teams like that. The only problem is with him his ball control when when he's let's say for example Hazard. Hazard can carry the ball at any speed. If he wants a full sprint or slowly, he can move in tight spaces. Vinicius can only run with the ball 100 miles per hour. That's all he can do. He can only run with the ball at 100 miles per hour. He gets close enough, and he takes his shot, and it's 50-50. It's either in or it's out, right? That's his style of play. Going to Arsenal, I don't think that's a good move. Not that Arsenal's not a quality club. It's just that Arsenal is a club with a lot of pressure right now. And I think Vinicius does not need pressure right now. I feel like going to Milan, it would be a great move because Milan have a whole young project. He'll be a players of his generation. He'll be able to communicate better with them. He doesn't really have to and he'll have a player like Ibrahimovic with a lot of personality that could really put him under his tutelage. Like look at João Felix. Like I think this year with Atleti has helped his development a lot just because he's around Suarez. Just a player of that talent that could tell him like make this kind of run when I'm right here. A player that can pass on that kind of knowledge. Him with Benzema is obviously like that, but the thing is, Benzema is not a player of his ilk. Benzema is not a winger. Benzema is a player that is really good in like developing to somebody to play off of with his back to goal. He's really good with like 1-2s. But if for Vinicius, you need to know how to really play as a winger a little bit better. Like you're just not very good as a winger. Like, and that's his problem. He can't, like, if he only has that one move when he tries to cut in, and it like most of the time it fails with him. And I feel like you are right, his confidence is hurt. But like, I don't think going to Arsenal would be a good move. I think a good move for him would probably be at the Bundesliga. I would like to see him at one of like the top 10 Bundesliga teams. I would take like Wolfsburg. Like. I know, like, he's not really doing very well right there. Like, he's pretty stagnant as well. Rainier, but he's at, like, Dortmund. He's going to come back. He's going to be, I think, a better product for Madrid. But no, don't. I think he's a better asset for the club if we keep him. Like, we want more forwards. We don't want any less.
Okay. So before I come to Musa, let me just hit this. So Namdi Nwajide said, is it just me or was Vinicius Jr. a way better player in Madrid's 2018-2019 season? For me, I don't think it's about being a way better player. I just think that, that is what he is. I'm sure there are times in the 18-19 season where there are games in which he looks trash. But then you just need to, like, it goes up and down, up and down, up and down. And what you need to do is just maintain that consistency, because even in the 19-20 season, there were times in which he looked really, really good as well. I don't think he's had a full season where he's been consistently quality and amazing. And I think the issue, though, is that maybe 18-19, there was a bit more consistency as opposed to 19-20 where there were amazing, explosive moments, but they were sparse and few and far between.
But can I respond to that as well? I just have a couple of things. Vinicius' best season at Madrid was his first season, 18-19. Last year, he was pretty okay. He was just average. Like, he didn't score a lot of goals and he was pretty progressive, but he wasn't that good. But 18-19, his first season his stint under Solari, he had like a very impressive 2 months where you're like, we're in good hands. Against Barcelona, we lost 3-0, like we drew one and lost 2 El Clásicos, and we beat Atleti 3-1 and beating Ajax in the first leg. In all those games, Vinicius was a monster. If you guys remember his goal against Ajax at home, where he just left the defender on the ground, and when he cut in and he scored, like he was a quality player that season. It was at his injury in the first 10 minutes, I think, in the Ajax game. After he came back from that injury, I don't feel like he was ever the same. Plus, to be honest with you, I feel like Solari knew how to utilize Vinicius better than Zidane. I feel like, to be honest with you, I'm of the opinion that Solari was not given a fair chance at Real Madrid. He took over a sinking ship and was like mid-season, he didn't really have the tools. Like Zidane took over like at the end of the season after the season was dead, and he had no pressure at all. Solari didn't get that luxury. Right, and I'm not saying like I want Zidane out and I want Solari, but like I just feel like Solari did, to give him credit for his stint at Real Madrid, he utilized Vinicius like the best out of all the managers that I saw. He was better than.
Hey, Ray, I got a question, Ray.
Go ahead.
Was it Vinicius being good, or was it just a team being trash, make Simi look good?
No. Vinicius, like when you watch those games, like Vinicius, his impact, like he was creating his own chances. He was making his own runs. He was having his own influence on the game without the team. His goal against Ajax was 100% him. We beat them 2-1. Like that, but that goal that he scored was all him. He created
That was
that.
Benzema, right?
Well, yeah, but Vinicius did the whole all the lifting. Benzema,
Yeah, he actually dribbled past the guy, the leg, and
exactly.
And then he has
Like,
yeah.
I credit him for the assist more than I credit Benzema for the goal. It's a quality finish by Benzema, but something you'd expect of a striker of his caliber, especially with a chance like that. Like all you have to do is just hit it on target. With Vinicius, he did the heavy lifting. Like I feel like if he's given a chance, honestly, like a proper run of games where he developed form, he'll come good.
All right, Monsaha, Vinicius.
Yeah, so with regards to Vinicius, I just want to address this first question because you asked it, and the question was, is Zidane a perfect manager for Vinicius Jr.'s development? And I'll say no, definitely he's not the guy, for Vinicius Jr.'s development. And with regards to that answer, there's also one notion with regarding to Zidane's future. We don't know the future of Zidane. We don't know what holds in for future for Zidane. This could be the last season for Zidane. So allowing Vinicius to leave next season, we don't know. We might get signed some other manager who might be more better in terms of coach than Zidane, and can improve the development of Vinicius because he's young. He's like 20. So even if he leaves next season under new coach, for example. So that's not a loss for him, and I completely agree with Red again when it comes to Vinicius Jr.'s development. If for example, if Zidane stays for long term, then Vinicius have to leave. I believe. I think so. It's better for him to go to Bundesliga team, for example, under Julian Nagelsmann, for example, in Leipzig, something like that. So that would be better for his development, and I think so. Nagelsmann would be the perfect manager for him right now to teach him and make him understand and whatever the shortcomings of Vinicius are. But ultimately, if I see Vinicius Jr. as a player, I believe there is loads of talent. This guy possessed. To be honest, for me, if I see Vinicius, he's like a kind of wide player who pretty much attack and stretches the defense of the opposition. We don't have that kind of player, to be honest, in Madrid. Who's that kind of player? Can you name me? Asensio? No, he's not like that. Who's that? Lucas Vazquez? Might be. That's it. Eden Hazard likes to cut inside. And you have Benzema and all these other players. So you don't have a player who can stretch the defense by playing a winger, left wing position. So who will you replace against Vinicius with? So that's the question number 2. Question number 3, we don't know the chances of Vinicius of getting better. If we send him on loan, we don't know, will he improve or will he get, will he get better or will he decline? We don't know. So that might be like a risky move for us again. So what I believe is that I think we should keep him instead of sending him to loan or sell him right now. It's too early for him.
Rebirth?
Yeah, so my take on Vinicius, especially with his interactions his relationship with Zidane, I don't think Zidane's the guy to create the diamond that we wanted of Vinicius. I don't think Zidane's the guy. I was thinking to myself, are there any true players that Zidane, that were, what we would call raw material that Zidane really flourished? The closest that I can come to personally is Varane or Valverde. But Varane was, he wasn't quite starting, I suppose, but Varane was already on his way. And Valverde would be the closest we would come to that. Isco, no, to me, I don't really feel that. He's good with the players that he gets, and, making Toni Kroos and Modric and Casemiro better, that was all good. But I don't really think he's taken a raw player and made the player world class, in my opinion. And I don't think he's going to do that with Vinicius. You can tell that he's been trying. I don't think that it's working. I don't think that's working. I do believe in the idea. I don't think that Real Madrid is the type of club for creating talents. You don't come here, and there are very few 18-year-olds who can come to Real Madrid and actually break into starting. There are very few players who can do that. Most players, you can't do that. Real Madrid is a place for made men or people or world-class talents. Mbappe is pretty young. Mbappe is going to be fine because it's Mbappe. And so I think Vinicius needs to be the whole go on loan to a specific place, become a better player, and then if you're up to Real Madrid standards, you can come back. I think that's just what they're going to have to do with him. As far as where he should go, I think like Red said, Milan would be a good shot because right now, if we had to get Theo Hernandez back, he would be a pretty good player for us if we got him back. I think that going to Leipzig would be good. I think I don't know that Inter Milan would be a good shot, but there are clubs to go to that he can flourish and then return to us later on. Muntan mentioned something that I'd just like to comment on as far as we don't have anyone who can stretch the lines. I think back to the era, like Cristiano's era, especially during the latter stage, during the three-peat. Cristiano isn't playing on the wing, neither is Benzema. We got our stretching of the lines from Carvajal and Marcelo pushing up. They're still there. And so if there's this idea that we're not stretching the lines, it has less to do with not having the players and more to do with Zidane is just not doing, like, he doesn't have the materials to do what he used to do back in the day. Because Carvajal and Marcelo are still there. Mendy and Carvajal are there now. But it has to do that we're not playing that way as opposed to an inability to do so. So I think we can do without Vinicius. You would just have to get specific sort of like if a player who's the quality of Real Madrid is like an A-ranked player, you need to get more B's and C's to sit on the bench to complement him. I don't think it's possible, nor is it logical to have A-level players on the pitch and A-level players on the bench. It's not going to work. And Vinicius is a possible A-level player who needs to be starting game after game elsewhere. He's too young to be warming the bench. You don't get better that way, in my opinion.
John?
Yeah, I disagree with because what is the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. What if Vinicius is just not very smart? An example is Sterling at Liverpool. He made a lot of mistakes, yes, but you could see that he had a brain. Like he was smart. You could tell he was smart. He just needed some good coaching. You cannot coach intelligence. Vinicius, I don't think he's very smart. I don't think he's ready for Real Madrid. I think he needs a loan, either to Milan, where else you want to go. But I don't think he's ready for Real Madrid. But HH, I gotta go. I gotta go.
Okay. Thanks, bro. Thanks. All right. All right. Now comes to what is very heavy on my heart right now, and we can't deny this. We can't run away from this, man. Just like Thanos says, dread it, run from it, inevitable. Eden Hazard. I'm a Hazard fan, and I will always say that Hazard at his very best is one of the best players in the world. And just as a football fan, I actually was really looking forward to seeing what he would do for Real Madrid, because I felt like, oh my God, if the Hazard in his final season at Chelsea brings that form to Real Madrid, he's not a Cristiano replacement because he's a completely different player from Cristiano. That is what it means to now take a team to the new level. Where, same thing with what Barcelona need. You're never going to replace Messi, but just get a player that just takes you into a whole new level. Hence why you should have kept Neymar. The Hazard thing is something that I think that when all is said and done, he needs to write a book and explain what happened. I think something happened. Something happened between that guy who performed like how he performed in the final season for Chelsea, and then how he turned up at preseason, and then how he then played. I still believe for Real Madrid, obviously we'll get to the Champions League, but they also touch upon it. For Real Madrid to win the Champions, they've already proven that they can win the league without him. And even now, especially with how Barca are and how I don't trust Atletico, Real can win the league without Hazard. Champions League, though, I think they do need Hazard. And I think they do need Eden Hazard. But the question here is that, is it already time to say, this is a flop, this is a failure, it's the points of no return, and the concept of Hazard fully, because as I always said, it is what it is. To truly be that superstar guy, all superstars.
I'll just say one thing.
Real Madrid.
Clock is ticking, bro. Clock is ticking for Eden Hazard.
No, man. Let me land. So basically, my thing here is that, look, 100%, man, is that all roads lead through Real Madrid. If you think of all of the greatest players that have played in the game, they have played for and have performed for Real Madrid. It is just what it is. So this was Hazard's opportunity to be like, aha, you now have to respect me. You don't respect me if I played for Chelsea or did for Belgium, but once I ball for Real Madrid, lead them to something, you now have to respect me. So we are now at the situation right now where I am close to just giving up. And I am close to saying that it's all over, but I still have the slightest glimmer of hope. But as Montana said, the clock is ticking and it is worrying. So I just want to just see where you guys are right at. And so far, guys, remember, if you're in here, guys, we go over 100 guys in here. Like the vid, like that vid. If you're new, subscribe. If you're new, subscribe, like that vid, like that vid. So Red, where are you at with Hazard? Have you lost all hope? Is this a case of like, it's all over, it's never going to happen? Or do you think that if, touch wood, he can just find some fitness, find a clean run of being injury-free, maybe he can, at the final bell, actually give Real Madrid what they paid for?
So HH, there's no reason for me to lose hope in Hazard. Like, there is no reason. Like, this player is a quality player. Like, he's not a player with 1, 2, 3 years. Like, no, this guy has almost a decade under his resume, like for Belgium and for Chelsea. He's a quality player. My standards for him have dropped immensely, right? Like and look, injuries, yes, absolutely, injuries will stifle you, but like, in my opinion, I feel like he's been given enough minutes for him to produce. And I don't know what it is about him, but he sort of lost that edge, and I feel like he needs a run of form. He needs some game time, and I really wish that Zidane would manage him in a similar fashion to how he managed Cristiano Ronaldo, where he would use him very efficiently in very, like in 2018, if you look at Ronaldo's starts for La Liga, I think he only started like 26 games, right? Like you have to use him sparingly. You can't use him like, because he's aged and he can't do what he does anymore. Like his body, like it just can't handle it. And especially like after that season with Sarri, because Sarri played him through injury. If you remember, like Sarri mismanaged both Conte and Hazard's injuries. And I remember even Hazim.
Okay. So you're saying that it's just by him being run to the ground?
Yeah, absolutely. You remember, like, that was a very valid question. I remember, like, on Talking Tactics, you and DT talked about it, about how Sarri's like playing like Conte through his injuries. He's playing Hazard through his injuries. Even up until the Europa League final, Hazard was injured. Like, and he played him through it. And that's why, like, when he came in, his injury got worse at Real Madrid, because he was playing through it when they thought it was okay, and then he got injured, and then because they put a metal bolt, I think, in his foot. Like there's a piece of metal in his foot, and it was misplaced, and it affected.
Okay, so basically, is what you're saying that he's basically broken, that because people are saying that that's the same thing for Kante. Hence why Kante is lucky, because you can now sort of play him in a more restrictive role, but Hazard is fucked then, because he is an attacking player who is supposed to be the superstar. So if you're saying that he is run to the ground, how can you handle that if he has lost the kind of spark that you need as an attacker?
It's the first solution to any problem is we have to admit that there's a problem, right? We all admit that Hazard is not good. We can't stop arguing like about his past history and all that stuff, because we don't want to talk about has-beens, right? We just have to let him sort of develop that reputation again, because it'll slowly come back, right? Once he starts scoring, once he starts creating, the team goes on a winning run, his performances go up, he'll build up that form, and people will forget about this year and a half.
No, but real quick, I'll give it to you. See, because one thing I've also noticed, and I'm sure you have noticed this, and this is that it's almost like a psychological thing or mental thing. Because I know for Chelsea, you could see that when he had the ball, he would attack and really try and move forward. And whenever I see for Real Madrid, the first thing is always to go sideways. There is almost a trepidation and a lack of that kind of bite or incisiveness that you saw from it. You will see it in glimpses for Real Madrid, but it just feels like if psychologically, mentally, he's playing a lot safer than he was at Chelsea, where he was almost ready to be like, at any given point where I can go forward, I'll go forward.
Two things there, HH. At Chelsea, Hazard was the talisman, right? I'm not saying he's the biggest player on the team or anything, but he was clearly, through attack, Hazard was their outlet. He was loved by the fans. He had a lot of confidence, right? At Madrid, when you come, you have fans like Montaja that love Ramos, for example. They'll never rate Hazard before Ramos. Like these guys, Ramos above all, right? You have somebody like me, which I always like. I love Benzema, right? Like I like, for me, like Benzema should be the first name on the team sheet anytime he's available, right? Rebirth, I'm sorry, I don't really know what your opinions are, but but that's my point, right? He's not at Madrid. You're among the superstars. You're not just the superstar. In Spain, like I guarantee you, like they probably like Asensio or they favor Isco. They'll like it depends each like from fan to fan. So that's gonna hurt his confidence. And then the injuries, and then on top of that, his performances weren't there in the media, and like the sum of the fee, and like the way the team wasn't really performing last season, how they like he let us down versus Man City. These things will add up and it'll hurt his confidence. So for Hazard, like I said, he slowly has to build up his resume. He has to win the fans back. He's got to show them that he's not finished, and it's been done before. There's a ton of players that rejuvenate their like. Let's look at Falcao, right? Falcao was washed. Like after leaving Atletico when he went to Chelsea and United, he was washed. He was just people were saying he's finished. After that injury, he didn't go to the World Cup in 2014. It was people said like that's it. That's his career is over. What did he end up doing? He comes back to Monaco in 2017 and has a historic run in the Champions League, only bowing out to Juve, like a great Juve side, I might add. And then they won the league over PSG. Titans in Liga. So like players can always come back after injuries, after whatever. Hazard still has a chance. He still plays for Madrid. He still has a contract. He still he has opportunities. We're in every competition still. He can prove himself. If Hazard goes on a 4-game run where he gives us 4 quality games, I guarantee you won't even have to say a thing. Fans on Twitter and everywhere, they'll be saying, "Oh, Hazard's a top 3 player, underrated, whatever."
Do you think Zidane still believes in him, or do you think Zidane is like
Zidane loves Hazard. Zidane is a big fan of Hazard. I think Zidane also sympathizes with Hazard a lot because he always no matter whenever Hazard's available, he always gives him his shot. And not out of force, he always puts him in his preferred position. He always plays to his strengths. The only thing is because a player like Hazard he's not a common player. He's not a player you could develop. These players are just sort of born with it. Right, like players like him with that kind of flair, with that kind of talent and ability, it's not something you could really quantify by stats or numbers or something like that. You got to sort of just watch him to really appreciate him. He's a type of player that even rival fans can't really hate because he's not very a controversial figure. But he plays beautiful football. It's I'm not saying he is like for like, but like of the same cloth. I think he's from that Ronaldinho cloth. Right, a player that transcends club rivalries, a player that you just sort of appreciate him for the sport, that you think he's just of that ilk. He just has that flair, that quality, that creativity, that like sort of ability that just goes beyond goals. And he's one of those. And I really do like. I was very excited when we signed Hazard. It just kind of hurts that how it all turned out in the end. But am I a believer? Absolutely, I support him. I just feel like the only way we can get the best out of Hazard is getting a third quality right winger, Mo Salah, Kylian Mbappe, Sadio Mane, somebody that makes the trident complete. I don't want Hazard playing as a supporting striker with Benzema. I don't want that. And I don't want Hazard creating chances for Rodrigo and Vinicius and Asensio and Vasquez on the right. I don't want that. I want cohesion. I want when you watch Bale, Benzema, and Cristiano back in the day, their counterattacks, or Di Maria. Oh my God! Like we played some of the best football ever. Just because our attack was so fluid, there was an understanding. You're making that run. You drop deep. You drag this defender. And then pass goal. We don't have that anymore because the IQ in our front line is not at the level where we're supposed to be. Like against Celta Vigo, we'll manage. We'll beat Celta Vigo. In the group stages of the Champions League, we'll skim by. We'll do that. When you go up against the elite, when you go up against Liverpool, Man City, Juve, against, I know Barcelona, people try to hate on them, but Barcelona, against teams that could really punish you, that have that clinicality, Bayern, Madrid won't survive. We'll crash out in the round of 16. We'll crash out in the quarters. We're not going to survive because our level of play, our clinicality is not there yet. Even if look at our games, for example, aside from the Celta Vigo, because our forwards actually scored in that game, we look at games against Atletico. That, to me, that game does not make me any more comfortable. Yes, we beat our rivals. Yes, we got 3 points. As it stands, it's a good result. But when you actually look at it, okay, Casemiro scored. Casemiro's a DM. He's not a reliable goal scorer. It doesn't really solve our problem, right? It's a situational thing where we're just a player that will score 4 or 5 goals a season, scored one of his 4 or 5 goals a season. But when you play, let's say, Atletico, and then you have Bale and Ronaldo and Benzema all getting on the score sheet and assisting, all that stuff, then you feel comfortable because that's your forward line. They're doing their job. And that's what worries me, for Madrid, is even if we get Hazard back, I really don't feel like he can be at his best because he needs the players around him to really perform at their best if he wants to win the big trophies. We could, because I'll be honest with you, La Liga right here, it's at the weakest it's ever been. The competition isn't very high. The funny thing is, I actually was looking at this, the score sheets and all that stuff, and in the top 15, there's only one Real Madrid player. Or actually, top 20, I think it's only one Real Madrid player, and that's Karim Benzema. goal scorers. Then you have Modric and Casemiro with 3 goals each, and then just a couple of and Valverde has 3 goals, and then the rest like Vinicius 2, Asensio 2, and Hazard's at number 100 with 1 massive goal, right? So so that's the problem. Is like the whole front line is not performing. I don't want to just blame that on Hazard. There is a problem with our flow and attack. The players are not on the same caliber. Like Benzema could sit there and do layoffs all day and just create runs for players. If you have a player like Vinicius who's just going to run straight into the defender, then what's the point, right?
All
like,
right. So let me bring you Muta on this, man. Your Hazard stance, man.
Oh my god, man, this is depressing, man. To be honest, like I was so gassed up, man. Like when we signed Eden Hazard, like for me, like I think so. This is a wrong signing.
Whoa. Okay, wait. Okay, man. Rewind back to when the signing was made. Now, it's easy to say that right now, but at the time, of course, the signing made sense. But none of us.
No, I disagree with that. Actually, I disagree with that. Because at that time, let's be honest, in that 80-90 season, when we played football, there was no creativity, there was no defense. Let's be honest. Forget about goals. Goals was there, but the number pretty much declined compared to the season prior to that. So in 18-19, I think so, Madrid fans exaggerated a lot about creativity aspect of the footballing side of our team. And if you see, to be honest, do we need a player like Eden Hazard and his creativity? I don't think so. I don't think so. And secondly, I believe that we should have gone for the numbers merchants, the players who can produce numbers, who's been efficient enough. And those players are like, for example, like your sons, goal scorer, great player, great attacker who can produce numbers if you provide him with some creativity, some basic creativity on counterattacks. Look how efficient, how fast Son is. Let's be honest. Eden Hazard was never been a number merchant at Chelsea Football Club. How many? Okay, can you tell me his highest goal scoring season at Chelsea? 16 goals in his last season, I believe.
Didn't he have 15 goals, 15 assists that season?
Double figures goals and assists.
Yeah, that's it. That's his highest throughout his career in Chelsea. So, let's be honest, okay?
Okay, so you're saying that Real Madrid should have gone for a goal scorer.
100%. That was the requirement. That was like the basic requirement for our attacking.
No. But so hold on. Okay, I understand that, but you do realize that you will not find a goal scorer of the same ilk of
Cristiano's
that was never happening.
100%.
So because my argument is that Cristiano is a freak of nature in terms of goal scoring. That was never going to be replaceable. So whoever you got would never get the amount of goals that Cristiano scored. So the idea of Hazard is you need to change the way the team functions.
Why we should change our team function? It's Eden Hazard who have to play according to the system.
No. My thing is, Real Madrid had a mindset of like, we have a goal scoring freak on our team. Just give him a sniff, that ball is going to enter that net. And this is unlike any player apart from Messi that exists in the world. So if you know that you can't replace that player, you have to change the way that you play. Because that kind of player can't be replaced.
I agree to you to the notion of, okay, we have to change our style because we cannot replace Ronaldo. Fine. But by the addition of Eden Hazard, it doesn't make sense to me. Because without Eden Hazard, we are winning La Liga. Without Eden Hazard, we are still there. I mean, when I mean still there means in terms of, okay, we are reaching the round 16 quarterfinal. So addition of Eden Hazard doesn't make any difference to us, regardless of injuries. Do you know that? Eden Hazard in his first season, right? For I think for 6-7 games he played and we beat Sevilla and all that, and there was a defensive contribution of Eden Hazard. He was showing up here and there, but still he was not addressing the issue. The issue was the lack of goals, which was to compete against a big team. He played against Man City, isn't it? What did Eden Hazard do? Let's talk about Chelsea's Eden Hazard when he was playing against Man City or in the bigger position teams, right? Where was Eden Hazard in big games? I remember 6-0 Man City game? Eden Hazard didn't show up. I mean, there was many big games I can point out about Eden Hazard.
Also, wait. If we're being fair, who beat Man City first that season? Wasn't it Chelsea 2-1? And Eden Hazard was playing as a center forward, and they beat them.
Yeah, the false nine.
I think so. With David Luiz scored the goal. I remember with the second goal, 2-0, I believe, in the Sarri's first season, right? But you cannot. Yeah.
No, because it just seems to me that you're saying that like Eden Hazard was just. Forget about him not being a goal scorer. He's just not as good as people think he is, and he was never as good enough for Real Madrid.
No,
Is that where you're going?
no. My point is, Eden Hazard was not the kind of player we wanted. We don't want the player like Eden Hazard. To be honest, let's be on the fair side of the game, right? Eden Hazard is updated version of Isco for me. Left side with Isco for me. No, he is. Let's be honest, okay? Eden Hazard is not the kind of player who can. Bro, can you tell me the productivity of Eden Hazard in the final third for Chelsea throughout the season? One season he'll produce. Next season, no, wait. One season he'll produce. Next season he's gone. He's off the pitch. Do you want me to bring the stats? Okay, Eden Hazard has never been that high production goal scorer or player for you. So that's
no. But the point was that his very last season, double figures in goals and assists, and the whole point was it happens to players. Sometimes it happens to sometimes it happens to this where you just hit that moment where I've now hit that point, and you just now consistently hit that sweet spot. So maybe my thinking was he has finally hit the sweet spot that Chelsea fans had been hoping that he'd hit, just that he hit it during the season in which he was saying goodbye. So the thinking was he's finally hit his sweet spot. He now understands how to be a bit greedy, understands how to be more incisive and more attacking. If he now brings this to Real Madrid, he will rebrand and change how Real Madrid operates in a post-Cristiano era.
No, and regarding with Eden Hazard, right? Let's be honest, okay? His moments on the ball is too slow. Like when I see V because Madrid is known as for his counter attacks. Let's be honest, okay? He's really good at the link-up play, like backflip, connecting with the players, passing, that's really good, and cut insides sometimes. But he's too slow on the counter attacks. He's not the kind of player, for example, like Di Maria. We needed a player like Di Maria who can make a difference on the counter attacks. How many times Eden has made counter attacks difference aside from the one game against PSG in Champions League when Benzema scored, if you remember? I mean, there are very few games you can talk about Eden Hazard. So for me, overall, when I see Eden Hazard, he's a great player. I'm not doubting on his caliber as a player. I believe this was a really wrong signing, and we shouldn't have gone for it because addition of Eden Hazard didn't do anything for us. Not even in terms of numbers, nothing.
Okay. So let me bring in Rebirth, man. Rebirth, your Hazard thoughts, man. No. Okay. Sorry, you were muted. Okay.
Right. I do disagree with Muntaha on many levels. I think Zidane had a problem. He had a problem that he needed to solve. So let me just start from there. So Cristiano, being the freak of nature that he is, that's all well and true. Cristiano's gone. Zidane has an answer. He has a question to answer. Do I go the route of trying to replace Cristiano's goals, or do I go the route of trying to create more creativity so the goal scorers that I can score? That was the question. He chose, and as far as I'm concerned, with the purchase of Jovic, and I know Jovic hasn't lived up to expectations, with the purchase of Jovic and what Benzema was doing when Cristiano left, he thinks, I have goal scorers, let me go get creators. And he goes and gets Eden Hazard, which, as far as I'm concerned, especially coming off that World Cup, the dude was on, Eden Hazard was it. Okay, he was it. When you start breaking it down to the problems that Eden Hazard has had, I think one of the first things you have to talk about is position, where he plays. Zidane typically plays him on the left, and then I think he drifts in and out from time to time. I think that if you want to maximize Hazard's potential, you need to put him in the best place for him to survive. Which, like Muntaha said, he's very good at link up play. So you have to give him an opportunity to be in the middle. To the banger of a goal that he scored. He got the ball, turned around, saw an opening, shot. There you go. Like Eden Hazard is, I quite think that he's at his best when he can roam anywhere he wants. In relation to, I think Muntaha is the one who also made this point about Eden Hazard is the one who has to tailor his game to the club. I think that you make changes for great players. Cristiano was such a lethal goal scorer that Mourinho noticed how good of a goal scorer he is and changed the system to maximize the potential of what he had. If Eden Hazard is the new flag bearer that you bought, your big money signing, if this is who you have, I think it's perfectly within reason for the club to tailor everything to maximize the potential of the player. And so if it's a matter of changing tactics, it's a matter of changing positions, all that stuff makes sense. When it comes to injuries, we all realize that injuries have been a really it's been a big problem from Eden Hazard. And it's really not his fault. I think there was a demographic that came out about the most fouled players. Like Eden Hazard gets fouled a lot. Like it's not on him. He doesn't say, hey, come, like he's not like Neymar who showboats and like draws it on. He's just doing his thing and he's just getting injured. It's not his fault per se. But I do understand that it's part of the game. If that's your game, that's how defenders will combat you. But I don't put that on Hazard. And you can work around that. I do think you can. So I think Eden Hazard is a great player. I feel like Eden Hazard, like watching Eden Hazard play brings you joy. And Zidane has always been right about these things. Like when Zidane wants a player, Zidane has wanted Hazard for a long time. I believe that Zidane knows what he saw in Hazard. And it's the same thing that we see. And he needs time. I do agree with the fact that he's running out of time. That's absolutely true. You don't have forever to fix your problem. But I think we need to give him a little bit more sympathy because the situation. And let me say this one thing about Zidane: when Zidane loves a player, he will stick through you through thick and thin. Like Benzema. Like my goodness, there were times where Benzema, like this dude should not be sniffing the pitch, but Zidane stuck through him, and now look at what's going on. The same thing happened with Asensio. Zidane gave him a run of games, and now like he should have had a goal, like goal of the season a second ago with that flick that hit the bar. And like Asensio is finding form. So I think like when it comes to Hazard, Zidane will give Hazard time. And if there's talent there, the talent will show itself. My only problem is like I like Jovic, and it's just a shame that Zidane doesn't have that same, because I think Jovic is he's a really good goal scorer. He could really help Madrid if he gets a chance. But so I think we need to cut Hazard some slack.
Can I respond to one of the points of Robert quickly? Yeah, because he said that he talked about flair, right? The problem is flair is not equivalent to production. Flair is good, okay, that's beautiful football, beautiful, but that's not equivalent to production. Because, for example, look at Gnabry. Is Gnabry that flair player? No, he's not.
Mutak, can I ask you a question? Like
Simple,
honestly,
yeah.
For you as a fan of Real Madrid, right? Like when you watch it, obviously you're watching it for entertainment. Quick question: what was more enjoyable? Which title was last year's season? Did you enjoy that more than, let's say, for example, 2014-15?
Oh no, definitely not.
See, 2014-15, we didn't win the league. But our football was just much better because I'll be honest with you, winning, yes, it's always fun to win. I love winning. Like I love the feeling of winning a game. But like before anything, I want to be entertained. And I'll be honest with you, like bro, like watching Madrid games last year was really a pain.
Yeah,
it was pain. It was just you're not having fun. You're not enjoying the football. Like there are matches where we show up and we're incredible, sure. But like majority of the way we play, it's just been boring. It's just not been entertaining. And like for me, I do want flair in my football. Like it's fun to win games. You want efficiency, you want that clinicality, but like you also want like aesthetically pleasing football. Like people say what you want about Cristiano Ronaldo, like about him about his like end of his Real Madrid stint, how he wasn't on the ball, but Ronaldo would be on the end of some beautiful plays, like some insane plays, whether it's an insane header or whether like you track his run from box to box in a counter attack, whether his facilitation, like he was just so versatile that like any kind of style we would play, he would finish it. He'd just make the football so much better. When you have a player like Marcelo, yes, he's not the greatest left back, but the thing is, what he does on the ball is just so entertaining. It just elevates your like enjoyment of watching, and like that's something we're lacking in Madrid. The only player that provides that, like, because Kroos, efficiency player, Kroos for efficiency, incredible, but for flair, meh, he's not really that. You have to really love the game to appreciate Toni Kroos. Modric, anybody will love watching Modric because he's so good on the ball. Just what he does, just like one flick, and then we're just transition to attack and we're on the counter. So don't undermine the flair attribute, because that is, at the end of the day, what we want to see as fans. And I know you want to see that too. Like, I guarantee you, if Hazard has a 10, I think is a player of Hazard's quality, if he has a 10-goal contribution a season, that's phenomenal. Because those 10 goals, if you go watch them, golazos. Like they're gonna be, of course, penalties. People always talk about his penalties there in that season, but like overall, like when you see like his goal against Liverpool in that EFL Cup, like I know people will say, "Oh,
yes, that was an amazing goal." Oh god!
But like that was his last season at Chelsea. That's what I'm like, his highlight reels are always impressive. He's very joyful to watch.
100%, I agree with you, Red. 100%, I agree with you. But let's be honest, because the question was in context of Champions Leagues. And if you see with regards to Champions League, I mean, if there is no production, what's the point? Like, regardless of how flair you are, how much beautiful football you play, that doesn't. For example, look at Barcelona under this guy, man, Setien. To be honest, they were way more flair than Valverde. what
Cap
happened.
Levy, I
at
agree
Madrid.
with you. I agree with you. Absolutely, we want results, but at the same time, like, come on, you want some entertainment. We'd always get results, but we'd also have some aestheticness to us. And I'm not saying like about just having 30 passes before a goal or anything, but just having a fluid attack that's not just, I don't know, like a jammy goal or just like off a cross. It's just like very basic. I just haven't seen that in a while from Madrid.
Yeah,
Like,
And by the
and
way,
I definitely think like for the level of club that Real Madrid is, it's perfectly reasonable to want results and flair. Like this is Real Madrid. I think we're perfectly within our right to want both. These players are getting paid a lot of money, a lot of money. You're not getting paid to play boring football. I'm sorry, this is a job. Okay, like I feel perfectly comfortable wanting results and flair. We want to be entertained, and we also want results. That's perfectly fine.
no, but but the question is addressing when you want to challenge for something, the most important thing, flair is secondary. Primary is efficiency. And if you cannot produce efficiency, there is no point of like having flair. Like you're telling me, right? Okay, keeping flair player and challenge for champions, that's so embarrassing, man. When you can produce, and as the Red mentioned, like in the earlier before, what he said is like when we play against big opposition, and when it comes to attack, there is no efficiency from attack aside from Benzema. That's disgusting, to be honest. That's not the style of Madrid. We look at our history of Real Madrid. Okay, we tend to score so many goals, 100 goals minimum a season. How many goals we scored last season? It's less than 100, I believe. So that's embarrassing.
Cristiano's not there, and you're not going to get another Cristiano.
Even without Cristiano, we score 100 goals, 100 plus goals, 100 goals every season. On very few seasons, we didn't have 100 goals.
So I want us to move to the next thing. And also, I think the quick also chat here. This is from Dean Classic, who says, Red is a real gem. He knows his ish, needs a podcast. Look, man, Red has been old school, man. He's been here for a while, man. He's been here for a while.
For season. By the way, just one quick thing, because I get comments saying that I backed out of our bet back in 18-19 about the Ajax jersey. I never did. I actually did buy the jersey, and I had it on my ABI on Twitter, guys. The jersey is real, like the Ajax 18-19. And just for the new viewers out there, me and Intich had a bet. This is to Benjamin on the last time hangout. He was saying, "Oh, we're gonna wash PSG."
They're leaving 2 minutes.
I said that we were gonna destroy Ajax, and that Ajax were the easiest draw, and I was so cocky and arrogant.
Yeah.
And I got humbled. This cost me $100, guys. $100.
Look, man, it shows that you're a genuine guy that you still follow in that bet, man.
Man of his words, man. Man of his words.
Man of his words. So, guys, I want to talk about Zidane. And in terms of Zidane, it's I want to talk about this in terms of the past and the future, well, present stroke future. So the first thing is I still think that people refuse to give Zidane credit for the 3 Champions Leagues. So I've heard fluke, I've heard that he was lucky. It was just a matter of just like it was like a perfect marriage. Even doing the Token Tactics podcast with Danny T, and he was saying that, well, look, he was just the perfect guy for Real Madrid and so forth, and nobody has really sort of given him his credits as being a manager. So I just want you guys to speak to, what do you think specifically Zidane did to do what I think is one of the great achievements in club football? And looking at the present and the future is, do you feel Zidane is the right man? Looking into this decade right now, Barcelona looking a bit iffy. Do you think Zidane is the right man to sort of make this a very, very successful period for Real Madrid, both in Spain or in Europe? Or do you think that he may have 2-3 years and maybe a Nagelsmann per se may come in to sort of help rebuild the team, work with the youth and improve the players? Because I think we now admit that Zidane works well with superstar players, but he's not really one that can help the youth and really help to improve players like Vinicius, Rodrigo, and so forth. So that's the whole thing of like what do you think Zidane's qualities were as a manager, looking at those 3 UCLs in a row, and do you think that he's the right man for the present and the future? So, Red.
In my opinion, I do not believe in coincidences, luck. I don't believe in aid or anything like that. I believe that you have 90 minutes on the pitch, you have a plan, you go in with your players, you execute that plan, you win the game. That's how it is. Zidane, there was a method to his madness. There's a ton of channels out there that will break down the tactics exactly per game, and Zidane has also proven his mettle as a coach that he can juggle both the Champions League and the league. In 2016, he took over Barcelona where they had a 10-point gap, and he narrowed that gap to 1 point. That's it. 1 point, and that was while winning the Champions League. 16-17, he juggled both and won both. And then in 17-18, in the beginning of the season, we had 5 games without Ronaldo when he was on fire. He was in form. We had Marcelo also missing for the first 3 games. We had Sergio Ramos also missing for the first 3 games. We were playing with our B team, and we dropped a lot of points. So by the time it was October, Zidane sort of had to just only focus on the Champions League because we were already like 9 points behind Barca at that point. So, in my opinion, I do respect Zidane as a coach. I think he is among like the best coaches in the world. I would rank him probably top 5 to 10. I do trust him. I don't care about the youth, to be honest with you. Like, I'm of the opinion that get the youth out of here, get some experienced winners in here, and let's have a team. Let's have a starting 11 again. We don't have a starting 11 at Real Madrid right now. Zidane has to mix and match to make things work. We don't have a consistent fit starting 11. Our players are either aging or too young. We're either overplaying them or underplaying them. Like
sorry, it's so funny. Like, I'm almost envious by you saying that, because that kind of mindset is a mindset that I thought Chelsea was supposed to have, which is that like that Michael Jordan thingy, F them kids.
Yep.
I'm like, if your owner has the money and is willing to invest, I don't give a crap about the youth. Get the best players, get the best manager, and have results right now.
You know what's a disease in world football nowadays, What's a disease is football manager and FIFA merchants that play these games online, and they come in and be like, oh, get a youth for the long-term product. When did teams do have that kind of thinking? Go back to the 90s, go back to the 2000s. You buy a quality player, you expect that quality player to deliver. You get a coach, you expect that coach to deliver. I'm sick and tired of, give him like 5-year project, 5-year term.
Oh, Mike,
right? You have to play him. He has to develop. No, he doesn't have to develop. He doesn't have to develop at Real Madrid in the prime Premier League.
See, where I agree with that is if you don't have a lot of money, you don't have a lot of investment, and it's like, look, our hands are tied. So you have to work with the youth, and that's what you have. But if you have the money, and you have the money to say, bro, carte blanche, here you go, choose whoever you want. Once you buy them, let's get results.
Thank you, because you brought up my next point about my critique about Zidane. One thing that I fear from Zidane, because I haven't seen that from him yet, but I fear that he's a yes man for Perez. I feel that he does not. I think the club likes him because he doesn't cause a stir. He doesn't do any stuff. Like, we need signings. Like, like our team is desperate for players. Like, it's not like we're at a stage like where every game, like if the team isn't 100% on it, and we're just like one of our starting 11 is just we lose. We don't have a consistent goal scorer, and we have to rely on our defense. So like we don't have any. We only have Benzema, but you can't rely on Benzema every single time. What you want to do, is like I said, like with Zidane, I want to see more aggression from him as a manager, more personality with him as a manager. But the thing is, Madrid love him, because he's a blank face. You don't see emotions from Zidane. You don't see Zidane rattled. You don't see Zidane complaining. When he loses, he says, "We lost. The better team won. Yada yada. We'll come back stronger." When we win, we'll be like, the team delivered. He never takes credit. He does not cause any drama or controversy or anything. He's very to himself, and the club loves that. He's not a big personality like Mourinho. He's not the type that will like throw people under the bus or players under the bus. He's not. You can go back to Zidane for 4 years. Even players he does not agree with, like players that on record were swearing at him, like James. James literally said, I don't want to swear in Spanish, but he said "conches tu madre," like something like that, like where he was telling him like you motherfucker, or your mother's like sorry, like so and that was caught on camera and it was reported all over Spain, and Zidane still played him. He's just an uber professional. He does not get riled up. I think that Materazzi incident sort of made him like absolutely never want to show emotion ever again after that, right? So that's my only critique of Zidane. I don't want him to be a yes man. I want him to be more aggressive in the market next season. Because like I know that we're going through a pandemic and money is less for us right now. But like overall, if you look at Real Madrid spending over the past 5 years from 2015 till now, because 2015 was the last big summer we spent. Like I know people say 2020, but that's because we didn't buy anybody. We bought Mendy and Hazard. But if you look at the outgoing players, we sold a lot of players. So we do have money to buy at least one big forward and a central midfielder, which we both desperately need. And we got Alaba. So that would be like, we just rejuvenated the squad all of a sudden. So Zidane, definitely give him credit. like a top coach. I'm not the one that's going to say he's the greatest manager of all time. He had a great accomplishment, a monumental accomplishment with that three-peat. Like, people don't want to give him credit. Cool, but he did it regardless. And once this man, what's it called?
But Martin, was that three-peat? Was it tactics, management, picking the right? Because what did he do that Rafa Benitez couldn't do?
I'll tell you what Zidane did. First of all, Zidane had a very progressive mindset. If you look at that 15, 16, 16, 17, 17, 18 team, they always went for the goal. Even when we were 1-0 up, 2-0 up, 3-0 up, he always went for goal. Second is Zidane's in-game reading is on point. This man's substitutions are insane. I always point back to this example at PSG. Emery subs out Meunier, right? Leaves the right open because he plays a bit more aggressively. They were pushing Madrid a lot. What does Zidane do? 1-1. Brings on Asensio. Tells him, hug that touchline on the left and just whipping crosses because there's a lot of free space for you to exploit there. Like immediately right after Emery made his substitution, Asensio comes on. Asensio comes on, 2 goals are created within the space of 10 minutes. And we win 3-1. That's it. In the return leg, his players were out. He didn't have Cruz, he didn't have Modric, I think, and he didn't have Casemiro. No, I think he had Cruz, but he didn't have Casemiro and he didn't have Modric. So what does he do? He makes a makeshift center midfield. He makes a double pivot with Kovacic and with Cruz, right? We played an insane game that game, even better than the first leg, and we win. And Kovacic was man of the match, arguably, in that match. He got the best out of him. If you look at also, like, when people critique his youth, like, let's say, Asensio's best season was his first season under Zidane. That's when he had his best return. He was scoring in every single competition, any stage. He scored a Champions League final. He scored in the semifinals against Bayern. He scored in the quarterfinals against Bayern. He was scoring massive goals. Like aside from Asensio, Morata's best season since, like, in the past 5 years was that season under Zidane, and where he got like 16 goals, 20 goals. I think he got like 10 assists or 6 assists. That was his best season. He went for 70 million that next summer to Chelsea. So like Zidane definitely can, any player under him, really, he can make them flourish. It's just about the players, if they're ready or not. Morata was on the edge of his prime. He wants to explode. Zidane was like, you know what? I'll take you. I'll make you explode. Any player that even James talked so much about Zidane, but his best season was that last season, 16-17 under Madrid. And the season after that, he had a decent season at 17-18 with Bayern. He had a good season. It rivaled it. But his season at Madrid under Zidane was his best season, aside from his 14-15 season. So even with him being off the bench, he used him efficiently. Like Zidane, and that's the thing I would describe his game, is that he's very efficient. He'll always grind out a result. He always has that ability. When I watch him, let's say, for example, like look at last year's La Liga. I don't credit it to Ramos. I don't credit it to Benzema. It's a team effort, obviously, but who kept everything running? Zidane. He used 37 formations in 38 La Liga games. 37 HH. Every game was a different formation. Every game was a different 11. This guy was just adjusting everywhere. He the team loves him. I don't know how he could rotate so much, but his heavy rotation policy, they love him. The only thing is, I feel like that does stifle us a little bit, that kind of style, because sometimes when you have forwards like Hazard, they need that consistent game plan. He needs to be like Benzema, first name on the sheet, for him to be able to roll. So okay. That's one thing. But yeah,
right, Musa.
Yeah, man. When I want to respond to this question about
so real quick, let me just hit this super chat and then I'll give it to you. So Alex One says, facts read. Cannot stand these under 21 signings. Give me Mo Salah instead of bombs like Rainier, Jovic, Militao. Zidane wanted Pogba. Perez wants Van der Beek.
Facts. That's actually our problem. Exactly. Like, we're Galacticos only. Like, that's how it should be right now. This should be the next project.
Okay. Munzaha.
Yeah, man. So with regards to your question, right, with three-peats, I believe lightning never strikes the same place twice. 100%. And it's twice, by the way. So when it comes to the question, okay, what difference he make in the 16th season? If you see, right, like 15-16 season, right, when we played under this guy, what's his name? The Spanish guy.
Rafa Benitez?
Benitez, yeah. Bro, he hardly used Casemiro. He hardly used Cruz, Modric as a trio. He never integrated that. He liked to use James on the right flank, okay? And Bale, and he pretty much messed up the situation with Benzema and Ronaldo situation when he played. And that fucked up the situation. Let's be honest. Zidane came back. He went back to the original purpose of playing the best player in the best position, which was Cruz, Casemiro, Modric. Top of that is after that season, once we won the Champions League, immediately next season we saw something new from Zidane. That was a diamond formation. And diamond formation, he integrated Isco in that diamond formation, which was a tactics. 100% it was tactics. And I think when we were talking about stretching the lines, then in that season, I think so our fullbacks actually, like Marcelo and Carvajal, played the best football I think so I've seen from a fullback long times. And they play high up on the pitch while making Ronaldo and Bale or sometimes Benzema and Ronaldo, they tucked inside, and then Marcelo and Carvajal, they used to stretch the defense. That was the tactic. And Isco like dropping deep and dropping in the number 10 position as well. So that was the tactics, and that was extremely successful that season, and even in the next season as well. So just tactics, it played Zidane had tactics. It's not like he wasn't like clueless. He's clueless, or it's like a juju. That's absolutely bullshit. 100%. And as Red said it perfectly. I don't want to touch the point because with the substitution thing and everything, Red was on spot. But I have to also agree this point. Let's be honest over here. Zidane have privileges of getting the players at the right time and at the peak.
Mm-hmm.
Marcelo was a peak in football. Ramos, Varane, you have Kylian.
Hold on. Are you saying that if it was any other manager, if they had all those players that they picked, they would win 3 Champions Leagues in a row?
No, but it helped a lot to Zidane. Let's be honest. It added to a lot. Like you have Isco. Isco best seasons are between 16 to 18 season. Like 2016 to 2018. That's the best season for Isco. Same goes for Asensio. Pretty much Vasquez. Okay, Vasquez out of the equation. Then you have Morata's best season. You have James' best seasons. You have Modric's best season. You have Ronaldo's best goal-scoring seasons. And then Benzema's productivity in terms of providing and everything. You saw what happened at Atletico as well. So for me, man, Zidane is privileged. It's not like a Mourinho situation, because when Mourinho came, to be honest, this team was built by Mourinho. Okay, because if you see the players he signed, even you can see in an interview when Mourinho said, when I was about to leave, a prior season to that, right, in 2013, in the summer of 2013, I asked Perez to sign Gareth Bale, but they signed immediately, like next season after that, when I left the club. So that was like quite depressing as well. So let's be honest, this team was actually built by Mourinho. If you see, he laid the foundation, but on top of the Ancelotti transformed this team into more of a hyper
Benitez bringing in Casemiro. Don't forget that was the biggest key. Benitez bringing in Casemiro and shifting Real Madrid from playing a 4-3-3 with a CM Cam at number 10 to playing with Casemiro.
Okay, so it was Benitez who bought Casemiro.
Yeah, Benitez
brought
him back.
No. That's not the thing. Yeah, he brought him back, but Casemiro. Yeah, actually, he integrated Casemiro in that team. That's fact. So ultimately, we have to give him credit for that. But if you see overall, Zidane have the. For me, it was like, you know what? This is the kind of problem that every manager wished. All your flipping 23 squad players are at the peak, are the best, and they're like pretty much best in all the positions. That's the problem Zidane had, and he just made the right decision after right decision. So it's not just like Zidane was clueless, it was our fluke. No, he know what decision he should have made, which Red explained it beautifully. So I don't have to repeat those things. But ultimately, when you ask me Zidane, let me critique him. Well, one point was that I don't trust Zidane's rebuilding process. You can say, he wants Pogba, he wants Mbappe. Yes, but I don't trust his rebuilding process. Zidane is a great manager to manage star players, 100%, 200%, 200,000%. I'll give him that. But when it comes to rebuild, I don't trust this guy. Secondly, if you see in the last season, in the last season summers, when he signed all these big name players, Zidane had 3 players. Actually, he signed 3 players. The decision was in the hand of Zidane. Folamondi, left back, because he didn't want Reguilon to come back. Okay. Second, he signed Eden Hazard. That was Zidane's decision. And Luka Jovic, he initiated Luka Jovic's contract. So like Zidane's decision was like sign these 3 players. Ultimately, out of these 3 players, only 1 player was good. Like successful for him. So how much I should trust Zidane's future plans of rebuilding? How he could replace Modric? Because this is too of a big task for me personally to believe on Zidane. So, yeah.
Okay, so would you keep Zidane in the future? Yes or no? or would you look for a manager who can work with a rebuild process?
For me, I don't want Zidane. And I'm being like, I know I'm being the pessimistic guy over here right now, out of all the out of Red and Rebirth. But for me personally, I think so. I don't want Zidane for the rebuilding process, because Zidane is a great manager. I mean, great manager, top notch manager. But I don't trust him for rebuilding. Definitely.
So, Rebirth, your thoughts on Zidane as a manager, specifically with that 3-peat in the CL, and do you think he's the right man present on the future for success?
Okay, so my take on Zidane. I think Zidane, like every coach, has his pros, he has his cons, he has his strengths and his weaknesses. I think he has very good tools to maximize the potential of very good players. If the players are good and you put them in the Zidane system, he can take them and he can make them even better. His strongest attributes are man managing, making big decisions in high leverage moments. Like people talk about the Casemiro thing. That's a really, really big decision to make. And, it was mostly on pop, because I do remember there was a stint where James Rodriguez is a fan favorite. And so like Perez and, like the powers that be, they really wanted James Rodriguez to be starting. But Zidane is the person who sat him and played Casemiro, if I remember correctly. In addition to that, I think he's able to keep the dressing room. The dressing room respects him. He can keep control, which is what
Benitez lost.
Yeah, Benitez lost the dressing room, and he also has that pedigree where if Zidane calls you and says, "I want you," you're probably gonna come. If he calls Mane right now and says, "I'll give you a starting spot," Mane is gonna show up. Salah, they're gonna show up. Mbappe, they're gonna show up, because it's Zidane, it's Real Madrid, and so he has that drawing power. I don't know that you'd have that same effect if it's Benitez. I don't think so. Lopetegui, Solari, not as much. But he does have weaknesses. I think his weaknesses is sticking to ways that do not work, almost to the bitter end. If he buys into a certain idea and he's doing it and it's not working immediately, he sticks with it until it takes a really, really big slap in the face for him to say, "All right, I'm stopping. I'm going to do something else." Like with players who are out of form, Benzema, Asensio, Hazard, they're out of form, but he believes in them. And case in point, he should believe in them because they're good players. But between the time where they lost form and they regain it, a lot of points are lost. And during that time, you don't get that back. If Benzema's not on form, he will stick with Benzema. And, all the points that will be lost as a result of him not scoring, well, so be it. Then, he's just going to stick with his favorite players. It's good, but at the same time, it's not good. Red and Muntal, you guys mentioned a lot of things about the signing Galacticos, and I think having Galacticos on the bench and on the pitch, I think that's unrealistic. I don't think that it's something that you could actually do. The closest any team has come to doing that in recent times was Real Madrid during the 16-17 season.
I want to mention something. It's not about having Galacticos on the bench and on the pitch. It's about having at least a starting 11 of elite quality players, because when you have Lucas Vazquez starting consistently as Real Madrid's starting right winger, no disrespect to him because he's a great squad player, he's a spine player, he's fantastic. But as a starting right winger, there's a clear problem when Lucas Vazquez is doing that. And not only that, bro, our club is at a state where Lucas Vazquez is rejecting us for a contract extension.
That's ridiculous.
That's so bad, man. This is the state that we're at right now. So that's why I just want it's fine if let's say for example Hazard does that, because Hazard's a world class talent. But Vasquez, come on, man. But go ahead, sorry.
So that point. Having Galacticos on the pitch and on the bench is unrealistic. But the point here is you want your elite players, your best 11 there, but you also want a fully fit, ready to go squad on the bench, which is something.
Reba, can I interject quickly? Yeah. For example, if you want to replace Modric now, I want Pogba. I don't want Camavinga. That's the point. There is a point. For me, I don't want 18, 19 years old player who will take another 3-4 years to reach the level.
For that,
so exactly. I want Pogba. I don't want Camavinga right now. That's the point actually. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I think that has to do with how good we think he is. If we think he's good enough to start, I don't think age matters as much. But the point is players who are young are not fit to, they're not ready for Real Madrid. But I think there are a lot of players in the squad who are too good to warm the bench. When we talk about the rebuild process, Isco is inconsistent, but a lot of his inconsistency has to do with lack of playing time. Like Isco's too good to sit
No,
on.
no, I disagree. Sorry, but I 100% disagree. I strongly condemn this notion of Isco's lack of playing time. Isco doesn't have a motivation. Isco doesn't have a desire. Isco doesn't want to fight for the place. Whenever Isco plays, look at his fitness level. Let's be honest. Isco has been given loads of
Again,
experience because
but like
yeah.
I do understand that, but a conversation about Isco, that like you have to, if you're going to ask that question, you have to take the subject matter to put it in the optimum surroundings to see that all things considered, in a normal standard position, what do you do? You know, like right now we're critiquing he doesn't want to train, he doesn't want to do that as he's sitting on the bench. You would have to take him into a position where, all right, you're starting on any game you want.
No.
Let's
But
me land, man. Let's me land. Let
I
Rebecca land.
think it's unfair to critique him on like a bad response to a bad situation. You have to put him in a good situation to then see if he still retains his bad behaviors. But like someone like Jovic is too good. Like I'm very high on Jovic. Like there are only like a handful of players to have scored 5 goals in the match. Jovic is one of them. He's too good to sit on the bench, you know. So when it comes to Zidane being the one for a rebuild process, I think we have to ask the question on what we consider a rebuild process. If rebuilding process is out with the old, in with the new, Zidane can do that. Take Modric, like, you know, Modric is old. Modric takes a back seat, put in Pogba. That's fine. You know, like Cristiano's gone, put in Mbappe. That's fine. So, like, if your definition of a rebuild is take the old out and bring in the new, I don't see any reason why Zidane can't do that. He's done it with Marcelo. Marcelo's now on the bench. Mendy's now starting.
What happened with Hazard?
Sorry?
But that's just 1 out of 3. For example, like 2 of his signings flopped pretty much. Like look at Jovic couldn't able to replace Benzema. Hazard,
no, I mean, again, that's true. But I really think that we're not giving the same, like the train of thought that we used to decide whether they're a flop or not. We're not giving the same thing to like all the players, because I know everyone goes, when it comes to Jovic, everyone just looks back to that Super Cup stint where he had a few games. That's like, you know, Benzema wouldn't even get, like, we wouldn't even criticize Benzema to that extent, because we would, like, Benzema has had longer to be able to hit form, and yet we're crucifying this guy who not had, like, I don't think that's fair.
Okay, wait, actually, no, real quick, but Rebeth, on that, do you still back Jovic?
To me, I back Jovic. Like, I'm very.
My God, Rebirth, man! Come on, I didn't expect that from you.
No.
Let's be honest, Rebirth.
Okay, why though? Just why? Why?
The reason why I back, because I watched all of Jovic's like all the games that Jovic has played back, like, you know, even last season and before. I also saw him back when he was at I forgot where he was before in the Bundesliga. Frankfurt. I also watched him then. When you look at the raw materials, the dude can play. He's not like, I always make fun because you always talk about him being fat, and like I follow him on Instagram. I'm like, this dude is not fat. I mean, sure, he's bulky, but he's not fat. I think when it comes to ball control, when it comes to a ruthless goal scorer, I think like you being at Chelsea, if you had Jovic, you would be in for a really that's a good player to have if Chelsea had Jovic. But I also think the problem that we've had in determining if he's a flop or not is we've not given him a proper circumstance to express whether he can or can't.
One thing I want to talk about just Jovic is that the problem with Jovic is he's very limited. It's not his finishing quality. He's not, like, I'll give you an example. Benzema could not score a goal for 3-4 games. So when you watch Benzema playing during those 3-4 games, he's a very progressive footballer. He attacks. He's creating. He's creating space. His movement is just overall it helps the team win. It creates space for players like Casemiro to score a goal. Like Benzema's effect on the team is just more than just goals, right? With Jovic, if he's not scoring a goal, he's a 100% liability. And the problem is the ball to his feet, his back to goal, he's not there for link up. Jovic needs to play with Benzema, right? Like that's probably the best way that we could play Jovic.
I think they should be doing that now.
But like what the problem is I think that with Jovic is that, like, bro, like I know that that's what we should do. Like, but if you play Jovic and Benzema as a strike partnership, it's just against most teams in the La Liga, when you have 10 men behind the ball, you're going to have 2 players that are isolated in between a very, very low block. Right. So, and the problem is Benzema could drop deep and he could feed Jovic, but the problem is like Jovic doesn't know how to operate in those tight spaces. Like in Frankfurt, right? Teams are going to attack Frankfurt. There's going to be a highland that they could expose. In Real Madrid, the teams that attack Real Madrid are very limited. you have to. It's very hard for us to break down low blocks, which is 99% of the 90% of the league in La Liga. That's how they play low blocks, and they build from the back and they go forward. And players like Jovic just don't thrive under those circumstances. And unless he could really improve his on the ball movement, I don't see how he can manage at Madrid.
Okay.
One last and just to separate Benzema from Jovic. Benzema, before he came to Madrid, he was dropping Champions League classics. He was nutmegging players and scoring goals in Old Trafford and dropping classics against Barcelona in the Champions League run with Lyon. Jovic at his best had a very good home game versus Chelsea, or he had a very good away game versus Chelsea in the Europa League. That was his highlight.
Yeah, Jovic is not better than Benzema, 100%.
I mean, even when we bought them, the caliber and player, when we bought Benzema initially, Benzema was considered amongst the best young strikers in the world.
Yeah,
Jovic was not like that.
Actually, so just quickly before we move on, so this is actually Danny T. Actually, if Zidane managed Osasuna Red, where do they finish?
Honestly, it's a hypothetical scenario because I can't really give that because I get it. I don't think that Zidane is a one size fits all manager where you can put him in any club and he'll succeed. I feel like he has attributes and traits that really that are very good to have in a manager, and he implements them very well. That's why I don't consider Zidane the greatest of all time. It's why I emphasize I preface my saying by saying what he accomplished was great. I don't say that I don't think Zidane's a better manager than Pep Guardiola. I'll be honest with you.
But I've got to bring this in. If I walk in my bedroom and I see Zizou clapping my girlfriend's cheeks,
that's what you were laughing at.
I still would praise him. That's how much I love this guy. So tread carefully, guys. So look, for me,
I would high five him and grab him a cup of water. Bro,
I don't know about that.
See, my thing is that because before we move on, Zidane is already, as I said, he's one of the best players I've ever seen in my life.
Awesome.
And I think that he's already forming himself to have one of the best kinds of repertoires in the game. If he was to win a World Cup with France, I think he would arguably be one of the greatest figures in the game. Right now, it might be Beckenbauer in terms of what he's done as a player and as a manager, but Zidane is getting there. And I still think that to this day, people don't give him enough credit for what he did those 3 seals. Okay, quick, next thing right now. So I want to talk about La Liga. So my thing is this. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Well, for as long as I've been watching La Liga, there's never really been a title race between both of the Madrid teams.
There's been in 2014.
2014, yeah, that was.
It was a 3-horse race. Barcelona were also there as well.
Okay, isolated Madrid derby,
yes, just 2-horse race.
No, never.
Because my thing is that I just don't see things happening for Barcelona. I think they're out of there. I never took Real Sociedad seriously. No one ever took Villarreal seriously. And Sevilla, we never take them seriously. So this generally is going to be a 2-horse race between Atletico and Real. So my thing is, what is this title race going to be like? Because this is very different from Barcelona, because Barcelona was a team of Messi with those Iniesta and so forth, and those guys were just blowing guys whatsoever. But this is a bit different, because it's a different Real Madrid side and it's a different Atletico side, because your challengers are a very strong defensive side, kind of like the Mourinho 05 team. I don't know who to put my money on. I don't know who to back, because I think that there are arguments for both of sides, there are arguments against both sides. So coming first to Red, coming into it, how difficult do you think an Atletico will be as a title challenger as opposed to a Barcelona? And do you still feel confident Real Madrid will win the league this season?
No, it's way too early, HH. I don't see it. Because here's the thing. I genuinely believe Atleti are favorites. And the problem is with that, HH, is they got more reliable goal scorers than Real Madrid. Yeah. They've got a better attack than us. Yeah. You have Carrasco, who could pop up and have 3-4 games where he's on it. You have Suarez, who could give you 3-4 games and just look at him. He's at 9 goals. He's La Liga's top scorer right now. You have João Felix, who could also give you 3-4. They have different players in attack that could operate and are more efficient, and they're just very reliable. I've been watching them this season, and usually Atleti is a team they can never rely on. They're a team that Barcelona fans will rely on them to beat Madrid, and they'll let them down, and Madrid fans will rely on them to beat Barca, and they'll let them down. They're like that. But this year, I feel like Suarez was sort of that missing piece Plus because they've always had a very good defense, a phenomenal goalkeeper, a great midfield, like a very, very strong and efficient midfield. Their attack was always just a little bit toothless, where they can get 1 goal, 1-0, 1-0, but if they concede one, they drop points. Now, I do think Atletico are probably right now, they're like 40% favorites, followed by Madrid with like a solid 30%. And then I'll give another 30% just to outsiders. Like Barcelona could make a comeback. I do think that they could always because they teach let's not forget if Lionel Messi hits form and just goes on a 10-game winning streak, they're back in the race.
Yeah.
I just don't think Messi is that hungry though. Like I just think that Messi is he can see the end, the finish line. And I think this is a very different season from what Messi has had, which is why because I picked Barcelona to win the league before the league started. I thought Barca will just get back to we don't want. This is the worst I've seen Barcelona for as long as I've been watching football. So.
I don't know. So I've seen crazier things happen. And the thing is, Messi's a very he's of all the players that we've ever played against, Messi is one of the most reliable players to screw us over. So I do believe I do believe that Messi could have that kind of run. And Barcelona, just don't forget they have phenomenal talent. If let's say Koeman finally finds the magic formula and gets Dembele and Griezmann firing or Coutinho firing, then all of a sudden those players, all of them are capable of hitting double digits in goal figures a year. They've all done that. They're a dangerous team. So I don't ever like counting out Barcelona. I will always respect them for the quality that they have. That's just how I see it. And the thing is with Madrid, I cannot confidently say that we're the best team in Spain. I just can't say that right now. Our team, maybe our defense you could say that overall, let's say if you consider not just defensive numbers but also offensive numbers, chance creations, because our fullbacks are very progressive. Our defenders create a lot of chances from the back. Our midfield is one of the best in the league, of course. But our attack is just so lackluster. One player in Real Madrid, Valencia are in the relegation zone, and they have 3 players in the top 10 goal scorers in La Liga, and Real Madrid have 1. That's the level that we're at. That's where I see the problem is until we get another, if let's say for example we had just one more player, hypothetically speaking, let's say Jovic starts scoring, is at 8 goals right now or 6 goals, right? I'd be Madrid, we can get there. Atleti will drop points and we're pretty reliable. I think we could probably drop 6 points, 7 points from here till the end of the season. The 2 losses in a draw, that's very doable. We could do that. That's amazing if we actually get that. But I just can't say that right now. I don't believe in our players like that. Asensio looks like he picked up form, but Asensio, man, year after year, he's breaking my heart.
So you would still say the favorites are Atleti.
Yeah. So I highly recommend also anybody that wants to watch some good football, watch Atleti. This team the thing is, I always know when a team's going to win the title is when they can grind a result. When you saw Liverpool last season, you knew they were going to win because games that they looked like they were the lesser team, they would still win because they just knew how to grind and get that 3 points, right? When you see, let's say, for example, even City or let's say Juve, why they win always Serie A, whenever you watch them, you just see them. They don't play the best football, I could say, for example, but they would and there's certain games where they have to grind for that 3 points. Those are the games that win you the league. And with Madrid, we sort of we did do that against Barca. We had a great performance against Atleti. We had a great performance, but against the lower sides, we play against Elche. We draw. We just dropped 2 points. That game against Elche, why can't we break down these lower La Liga?
No, because see, that's the thing. Because just quickly, it's because when Real beats Atletico, I was like, oh shit, that's symbolic. But then this is not a knock game. This is a 38-game season. And now that draw against Elche pretty much negates that result.
Exactly.
So Atleti then got that, and now they then regain the advantage that Real Madrid should have had after that win.
There's not we have to now win the next Madrid derby. We have to. And on top of that, for Madrid, for Atleti, they're lucky because they really only have Real Madrid. That's their big match of the year, right? Barcelona, it's really Real Madrid that's their big match of the year. Maybe Real Sociedad if you want to add in boogie teams, right? For Real Madrid, we go to Atleti, we're hated. They're going to turn up for that game regardless. It's a final for them. We go to Barcelona, they're going to turn up for that game. It's a final for them. We go to Valencia, they're going to turn up for that game. It's a final for them. There are teams out there that in La Liga that hate Real Madrid, and that for them, playing against Madrid, they have to turn up. That's their big moment. And that's where we give so many careers to players just by doing that. Like Adane, I still, to this day, the game that ended our unbeaten run, I think, was it the game that ended our unbeaten run? No, the game that ended our goal-scoring run. When we had that historic, like, Santos Pele 73 games goal-scoring streak, it ended against Real Betis at home in the Bernabeu in 17-18. We had like 30-something shots on target, and it could not go in the back of the net. And in Bale, guys, whoever is watching this, go look at the highlights of that game. Real Betis versus Real Madrid at home, 17-18. Bale has an insane Rabona kick, HH. And Adane, which was, he's an ex-Real Madrid goalkeeper, turns into like, he turned into a monster. He was saving everything, HH. He got a contract extension off that match. And it's not just like, anytime you watch these lower sides, these teams, we give them so much confidence they beat us. And it's always these nothing players. Like, it's not like Griezmann shows up, plays against Madrid, does nothing. Mbappe does nothing. But then you have Ajax, like with like pretty much nobody's at the time, they destroy us. Like, they demolish us. Like, whenever we go up against teams, it's nobodies. We just sort of underestimate them, and they just run us over. And we give them careers, and we give them, like, that whole Ajax literally owes us a percentage of the transfer fee of all those players, because that 17-18 team, all of them, their stock, like, their price went up by 20 million after that game.
De Jong's move on Modric is what got him that Barcelona.
Yeah.
Facts, Alex. That's pretty much, the whole league does hate Real Madrid, and they always turn up against us. And it's just like, for us, that's why it's much harder for us to really achieve the La Liga, because, like I said, it's like Valencia will turn up against, like, you'll see a game where Valencia will go to Barcelona and they'll lose like 4-0, and they'll turn up against Madrid and they'll beat us 2-1 or 1-1. Even when they're in the relegation zone, they'll focus on that one. In 16-17, they were in the relegation zone in January, and our first loss in the league was against Valencia away at the Mestalla. And Zaza, a finished footballer from Italy, he was finished after 2016 Euros. He was finished after that penalty shootout against Germany. Was it Germany or France? But he was finished after that penalty shootout.
Yeah.
This guy goes, and they're in the relegation zone. He shows up and bangs 2 amazing goals. Like, I don't even know how he scored that. But it just happens.
All right. So, Munzaha, what about you, man? Title race, man.
Yeah, man. I'll be just quick with you. For me, the only glimpse of hope for me is Atletico away. And when I meant the Atletico away, means Atletico away when you see they play against a big opposition, for example, teams like Bilbao, or for example, like Getafe. Like okay, they won. Alaves, okay, they won. Like, Suarez scored some crazy goal at 92nd minute. But the point is, right, Atletico will drop points away. It's not like Atletico, and when I mean drop in terms of draws, because every season, if you see, right, they drew 10 games, 8 games, 7 games. That's standard by default. Atletico drops points, but for us, as if Red said, like, oh my God, we struggled against like this all flipping small teams. For me, right now, you tell me we have much easier games, run of easier games than Atleti. Atleti have to play Sevilla. They have to play Bilbao next. They have to play then I guess Valencia soon. So they have a big games in the hand, and for next 3-4 games will decide Atletico Madrid's fate in La Liga. For me personally, and do you remember, HJ? I said to you about Luis Suarez. Do not underestimate this guy. And like, as I was the season, I said this guy can give you 20 G's every season in the league.
No. I think the biggest thing about Suarez, Barca, it was stupid for them to first of all sell him and sell him to a rival. My thing about him was his lack of productivity in the Champions League.
Yeah, I know that's the point. But like, ultimately, Barca is nowhere near now. They don't have league, they don't have Champions League anyways. So that's not my problem. And one more thing with regards to Barca have a good players. The problem is Koeman. Koeman is holding them back. I'm telling you again, once they sack Koeman, you'll see this team is coming up. This team can challenge for titles. The problem is Koeman. Kick that guy out. And with regards to Madrid, I believe we need Hazard now. And the reason I'll tell you why we need Hazard, because against low block opposition, Hazard is the best winger you can have. You can't have Vinicius. I'm sorry. And as Red said that, when we want to win the games against low block, we need to grind the game. We need to dig really deep. Our midfielders have to create tons of chances. Fullbacks should be on top of the game as well. So for that, I think we need Hazard for the low block team. I wouldn't be surprised, yeah, for the coming in the coming days, right? We are going to play Osasuna. I wouldn't be surprised if we drop points. Definitely, I wouldn't be surprised. So for me, I think so. Still, Atleti is favorites for the La Liga. Yeah, they're there.
Rebirth.
Yeah, so for me, I would have to agree with Atletico being favorites for the league because you have to base it off what they've been doing so far. They've proven that they should be the favorites for the league. As far as what I believe will be what determines who wins, I think because for one thing about because Red mentioned that he doesn't know if he would consider Real Madrid the best team in Spain, which I would have to agree with that. On paper, Real Madrid should be. On paper, they should be. But football is not won on paper; it's won on the pitch. So as far as what's been produced on the pitch, I fully understand that Atletico should be the best team in Spain. I think where the league is going to be won, where the war is going to be won, is going to be won once competitions start piling up. When the Champions League and the Super Copa and the Copa del Rey start piling up, and you can't play your starters anymore. Because right now, because the Champions League is done, teams have had the luxury. I don't religiously watch Atletico's games or Barca's games, but I do know just from Real Madrid's perspective, because we're not playing all these games, Zizou can just be playing the same 11 over and over and over and over again. Once the Champions League and all these different competitions, that's when you're going to have to rotate. Now you got to look at Jovic and say, I need a goal. Now you got to look at Odegaard and Isco, and now you got to make sure Militao and Nacho can hold the back line. Now that's when things start getting really, really tricky. And so, in my opinion, the person who wins the league is the person whose bench shows up first. Because eventually, once you get through all the congested stuff, and once the competitions ease out, you can go back to your starting 11. So I think that brief spot where competitions pile up, you got games 3 days after 3 days after 3 days, and you got to rest your players. The bench who responds first, responds most effectively, is the one who's going to win the league. And to me, I'm hopeful that Hazard and Asensio and Isco and Odegaard and Jovic and Valverde and all, I'm hopeful that they can, respond accurately and actually show up. Because if they show up, Real Madrid should be the best team in Spain. They have the players. If Jovic is scoring, and if Jovic scores when it's his turn to play, when Benzema scores when it's his turn to play, when you switch Asensio for Vinicius, if they play, they win. I think it's a pretty straightforward answer. But Muntar is right. Hazard, a fully fit on form Hazard transforms this team suddenly becomes able to stand toe to toe with Bayern Munich and the rest of them. One player, one player. If he shows up, everything changes. Everything. So
okay. So last three topics. So I want to just touch upon the Champions League now. So obviously, Atalanta is the team that your guys will be facing. Probably, I think it's more so than Atalanta rather than just picking another game. Just really the Champions League as a whole. This has always been my notion, and it's even Rebirth even touched on its Hazard. I don't think Real Madrid can win the Champions League without Hazard. For Real Madrid, the priority every single season, yes, it's Spain, is to win the Champions League. This is the biggest club in the world. It's a club that has won the most Champions League, so it is almost their responsibility and their duty to actually try to win the Champions League every single season, because that is just what the club is. That is what the club has made themselves to be. So, coming first to Red now with it, do you think this season, or rather if you could give me an argument as to why or how you think Real Madrid could win the Champions League season, what would that argument be? Or do you think that without Hazard, they're simply not ready, or they simply don't have the players to win the Champions League? And if they were to come up against a Liverpool or a Bayern, or maybe even a PSG, or even a Man City, they wouldn't be able to beat them.
All right, I'll go back to Rebirth's point. Is when the games start piling up, that's when we'll see the real contenders and the real pretenders, or the real contenders for the pretenders. Because when we see, when I tell you, on paper, Madrid should be able to match any other top team in quality, right? On paper. The only thing is we don't have the form or the consistency really to be able to say, yes, I think we could beat Liverpool. Yes, I think we could beat Man City. Yes, I think we could beat PSG or Bayern. But the only problem is, HH, is, again, we don't really have the consistency in attack. And we saw that last year against Man City. When we really had the pressure on us and we needed to score 2 or 3 goals, we couldn't really muster up anything. But no, I don't accept at all people saying that like, oh, Madrid aren't good enough to win the Champions League. Every year, our goal should be to win every trophy we're in, even the Copa del Rey. As much as I don't care about it, but like if we can field the best 11 that you can for that game, of course, with respect to the season, like I don't want him to field our best 11 on and around the 16 Copa del Rey game against instead of in La Liga. So like, but like, of course, I want us to win every single trophy. So no, Hazard has insane talent. Ramos, Varane, these are World Cup winners. You have Courtois, one of the best goalkeepers in the world. Carvajal, one of the best right backs in the world. You have Mendy, who's been insane, 30 games unbeaten in La Liga. Our midfield needs no introduction, and then our attack is lacking. So, but they are good enough to get us a result. So for me, I don't accept like saying that we're not good enough to win the Champions League. This team now has had 3 years without Ronaldo. They've had they've had some time together to really muster up. Like there's no excuses. HH, this is the third year in the project post Ronaldo, right? So I give them no excuses. I would be disappointed if we get knocked out anywhere before the semis.
So is this with or without Hazard?
Both. Even without Hazard, HH, we have quality enough to win. Like Hazard obviously is the cherry on top, but like HH, there's no excuses. Like HH, if clubs like Atalanta could make runs into the quarters last season, or when they went into the round of 16 against PSG, was it?
Yeah. Like, no. They got to the quarters and Leipzig got to the semis.
Yeah, like if these clubs can hit it, and no disrespect to them, because of course we want to always pay respect to good football teams that get there because they achieved that. But like if these clubs can make those kind of runs with the resources that they have available to them, not like Leipzig, but like Atalanta, then Madrid should be able to. And there's no excuses. I'm not saying we're favorites by any means, but there's always a chance as a Madrid fan, and like I'll cling on to that, and I believe in my team.
Okay, Monsacha.
Yeah, man. As I've just said, like chances are there. The probability, anything can happen ultimately. Yeah, because we have a players. For me, give me just one player, man. Just give me one player, man. Mbappe. We are winning this. I'm telling you, like we have Hazard. We just give us Mbappe, and Hazard might be fit. This is all might be. I know this might be, but yeah. So ultimately, look, man, it comes up about the winning. I think the winning is stretched without Hazard. 100%, or even reaching final, I think it's a stretch without Hazard, because we need a player like Eden Hazard to be fully fit. When I mean fully fit, it's like Hazard, like I don't know how many of you guys have watched the second leg last season against PSG at Bernabeu in the group stage in Champions League. Hazard, the way he contributed, like the team functioned in such a smooth and streamlined fashion.
Oh yeah, I remember that game. Yeah.
That was his best game for Madrid. That was his like best game. But he also got injured.
Yep.
He wasn't at that form yet.
Yep. So you can see what he's trying to do, and then you can see the roles of Benzema and the other players like we have Valverde's and Modric and all those players. So for me, if you can bring on Hazard, I think so we can. Like for me, I'm not afraid of Liverpool if we have fully fit Hazard. Like because the only problem from my end, who will score? That's the thing. I'm not afraid of midfield. I know our midfield is world class. I'm not afraid of defense. I know our defensive world class. Ramos is there. So I don't have to worry about those things for me, per se. And even goalkeeper. For me, the only point is two wingers. Left winger, right winger. Just give me Eden Hazard, Benzema up front. I think so we can work out. Yeah. So it might work, definitely. Right.
Rebirth.
Yeah.
Yeah, when it comes to the UEFA Champions League, I would just be reiterating the sentiments that have already been said. I do believe that on paper we should have everything it takes to go all the way. We're not favorites, but we certainly do have everything it takes to go all the way. I think when Tom mentioned something about give us Mbappe and we're winning it, I wouldn't be so sure, because at the end of the day, like Mbappe is a PSG. PSG's not Madrid, but they ain't won it yet. Like,
no.
A foregone conclusion. Like I get it.
Wait. Let's move on.
I get it. There are levels. Like PSG, I understand. Like Madrid is a different class from PSG, but PSG have he's got Neymar next to him. All right, like they're not scrub. Verratti is back there. Keylor Navas is in goal. They're not scrubs. They can play, but they haven't won yet. So I think it's not a foregone conclusion that get Mbappe, because It's like you said, with the teams playing like a low block and things like that. The teams in France, they play anyway. You got tons of space to work in La Liga and all these things. It gets more difficult. So I think, but back to Hazard, like I do believe that Hazard unlocks there are certain types of players who, when they're on form, it just like spreads to the rest of the team. Like Cristiano, I feel the kind of good that Cristiano is a type where he's able to make players look good because you may put in a not perfect cross, but he's gonna overextend and get to it and overextend. But a player like Hazard, who it's almost like the more better he is, the more better you are because it's spreading to everyone. Everyone starts playing better. The rhythm, kind of like when Messi's on form, start passing. It's contagious. And so Zidane's number one priority is to get Hazard into form. Get Hazard into form, especially with Benzema, who is on goal scoring form. You get Hazard into a form, and you'll be fine. The only problem is who's going to be on the right. That's the only problem. Who's on the right? Because Ramos can defend. Courtois can make saves. Modric, Kroos, and Casemiro, they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. All you need now is attack. If Hazard's on the form, all you need is to sort out who's on the right. Asensio, Vasquez, I don't know. Like you got to sort that out.
Do you have faith in Rodrigo?
Rodrigo's not ready yet, but the dude, he's not a scrub. He's just not ready yet. Yeah, but the dude has talent. Like I wish Vinicius had Rodrigo's mentality, knowing when to go, when to stop, and decision making. Because if Rodrigo had Vinicius' raw talent, I think he would be he would be one of the best talents in the world.
That is actually spot on. Actually, sorry, Rebirth, to cut you off, but because Vinicius, I feel like he has the higher ceiling between the two. He's the more talented of the two. But I think Rodrigo's limitations is what make him a better player because he's limited to do less. So he sort of has to do more. Right, he's worked because he can't. Let's say he's not as fast as Vinicius. He's not as good with the ball as Vinicius. But I feel like his delivery is much better. Before he got injured recently, he had 6 goals and assists in 6 games. He was killing it. He was on form in the form of his life, really. And he got injured, unfortunately. But I do agree. It's just the decision making with Vinicius, and we should go with Rodrigo probably on the right or Asensio.
All right, or and I know Zidane won't do it, or try a different formation. I mean, he's not going to do it. But how about you try a different formation and, take Hazard from the left and put him in the middle? The only problem is who do you pair with Benzema up front? Because I know there's this idea that playing 2 strikers, like Madrid can't do that. Madrid did that with Ronaldo and Benzema. Isco was the number 10 in the middle with the diamond formation. And, Cristiano starts from the left and he drifts inside. But they were virtually playing with 2 strikers. And I guess I'm just pushing my Jovic agenda too hard here. I digress. I'm done.
Oh, okay. I just want to quickly add away
quickly, last thing because we need to move on to the last two.
Yeah. With regards to Mbappe and PSG, because that's a really important key point over there. If you compare PSG defense, fullbacks, midfield, aside from Verratti, who's there? You have Marquinhos. That's it.
Yeah, but the way Mbappe is playing, though.
No. You need to understand.
That's not going to stop him from scoring.
No. And you need to understand. Mbappe right now is reliant on Neymar, especially on Tuchel's system. His system, Mbappe's role is limited just because limited goal scoring. With Real Madrid, you don't have to be that limited, Mbappe.
I disagree. I think with Real Madrid, you get with Real Madrid, there's more control. Think about Hazard. Hazard would love to play in the free role, but he doesn't get that because Kroos, Modric, in Chelsea, everyone gets the ball. You look for Hazard.
No. That's not my point.
In Madrid, there's Kroos, there's Modric, there's Benzema. You don't get as much.
No. That's not my point. No. My point is when you see PSG in Champions League, they are not grilled and established team. But for example, as a team when they play, even as a player, for example, you have Herrera in your midfield. What's Herrera's role is to create his box to box, to be honest, in PSG. And you cannot compare Herrera with, for example, with Modric to its quality level. If you see, right, even in Champions League.
But Monta, the issue though is that there are still times when, forget the creativity, the ball will come to your feet. So once the ball is at your feet, what are you now doing with the ball at your feet? And the issue is that Mbappe is limited with the ball at his feet. You see, as of right now, look, I'm the biggest Mbappe fan, but as of right now, the player that makes most sense for Real Madrid is Salah. because Salah fits perfectly into Zidane's system.
I agree. Salah's a good choice as well.
Because Salah would walk well in the flow of the team, and you can give the ball to Salah's feet, and Salah has that Arjen Robben kind of frame of mind to get into his pockets, get into his groove, get into his sweet spot, and unleash a shot. Mbappe right now, because the team is so badly managed and so forth, he has digressed. He's declined. So it isn't really a team thing. I just think it's a mixture of a team thing and also a player thing. You bring Mbappe into Real Madrid with better players, a better system. You still have to give him the ball to feet. And he's just not giving enough the ball at his feet.
But HJ, if you observe PSG, and especially in the Tuchel, right? Neymar, I mean Mbappe is limited because of Neymar's false nine role. Mbappe has been given just on the productivity of creativity of Neymar's role. You can see those runs which Mbappe makes. For example, look at the cross he made, the winning cross to the guy, man, Choupo-Moting, and they won the game against Atlanta. Look how Neymar created a chance for Mbappe, and Mbappe, he just cut back to this guy. So that was Mbappe's role in that team on Neymar's false nine role.
Wait, because we have to round off soon. So two more topics. So. We have to talk about this dude. I wanted to just bring up a graphic. And I want you to just get your thoughts when I bring up this graphic. So I'm just going to bring up a graphic right now. And I want you to look at 2009 to 2018.
Mm-hmm.
So here's my thing. No, let me just start. Here's my thing. I think I just found this out after he left. See, I always heard rumors and so forth about he scored a lot of goals. Okay, cool, he scored a lot of goals. Then one time I'll just say, actually, what were his stats for Wikipedia on for Real Madrid? 292 played, 311 goals. I don't care about the tap-ins, penalties, and so forth. That is an insane, absolutely insane.
The stats are incorrect.
Easy, let me land.
The stats are incorrect, my friend.
Let me land. You will trust me. Let me just land. The fact of the matter is that you can say, oh, maybe this or that. At the end of the day, he was a goal-scoring asset for Real Madrid. And in my mind see, if we had these kinds of numbers for a United, a Chelsea, a Liverpool, an Ajax, a Dortmund, you know that, hey, when a bigger fish comes, it's going to be all over. You have this for Real Madrid, you never leave until you begin to decline. So in my mind was that, oh, bro, this is it. He is either going to retire at Real Madrid or he is going to spend it all up until his very last year and then spend his last year in Portugal. I never conceived of Real Madrid selling Cristiano to Juventus while the guy was still scoring goals and he had not yet declined. So that for me was completely wild. So, Red, for you, do you think Real Madrid, I get that no one is bigger than the club, but do you think Real Madrid made a very, very bad move in not keeping Cristiano Ronaldo, knowing the insane value he brought to the club?
Two things, HH. First thing, those are just La Liga goals. The actual stats are 450 goals in 438 games. That's like in all competitions for Real Madrid, including Champions League and the Copa del Rey. So that's even more insane because that's more goals than players have actual games in their careers. Two, no. Ronaldo left at the best possible time. CHH, what Ronaldo gave us, Madrid fans, he gave us an era. He gave us a decade in which we got to see our player in a team. Because let's bring context into this whole discussion. When Ronaldo came to Madrid, he came to Madrid with the biggest challenge of going up against one of the greatest teams that era has, that's been produced in years. That 2009 Barca team. And his goal, him and Mourinho and that whole project, was to stop Barcelona from having complete dominance. And what they did, I believe, is Ronaldo helped us. He helped us achieve all those goals. When you look at, let's say, for example, he was the catalyst and the leading man, the talisman in the 2012 La Liga win, which was the greatest La Liga win of all time. Which, regardless of how many La Ligas Barcelona win, when you look at individual stats, you look at how many La Ligas in a row, Madrid hold that. What's the best individual season? Madrid hold that. What's pretty much he put us back he brought us back to relevancy in Spain, where no longer Barcelona were the overwhelming favorites. He went then in the Champions League and just completely became an alien. He literally went to 8 semis in a row, HH. 9, I think, in a row with the winning one. Last one, I think, was it 2010, 11, 12, 13. Yeah, so like we went to at least 8 semis in a row. He was a top scorer for pretty much 7 years straight in the Champions League. Tops. Imagine that. What kind of dominance this guy was, like what kind of figure he was from Madrid. Because like he knew when he came to Madrid that look, these people only want results. Capelletti mentioned it earlier. We're results merchants. We're not beautiful football merchants. And he knew, he was like, look, I can dribble all I want. I can do all these skills I used to do in United. But here, I have to be the difference maker. And he adjusted to that. Not only, like, forget the goals aside, right? If people want to actually, like, I'll give them a quick history lesson around Madrid when we bought Ronaldo. A big criticism of Ronaldo for the first 2 years he was at Madrid is that he was a fraud in big games. That was actually the criticism. People said that Ronaldo could not score against Barcelona because he couldn't score against them. And his first goal,
true, man, spot on, man. Oh my God, that's old memories, man.
But what did he do? He came through and scored. His first goal was a penalty, and he broke the jinx after that. He then became the player to score the most at Barcelona. He was criticized for his, let's say, for example, for not winning a La Liga. Goes and wins the greatest league of all time. Was criticized for the Champions League. Goes on and has an insane run. Every single criticism that Ronaldo had at Madrid, he answered it. Every single one. There was not one. When he left Spain, like all the reporters that were hating on him, all of them, they all respected him. Atletico, they respect him to this day because what he did to them. This guy, for me personally, I think this is the greatest transfer in football history. Like Ronaldo to Madrid, it is the great. Like I don't know another.
Actually, it is the greatest transfer. Yeah, it is.
It's just what it is, and because
Messi wasn't a transfer.
Exactly. And now to quote one of my favorite movies of all time, you either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. Ronaldo in 2017, I wanted him out of the team. 16-17, that season, that was the season when he really declined. Like that was like when he was really a shadow of his former self, but he was insane in the second half of the season. They're like, okay, give him one more year. And then 17-18, after the red card, he came back. Remember, up until January, he didn't score a single, like he had like 2 goals.
Yeah.
But then from January onwards to the end of the season, he had like 20. He ended up with 26 and 26 in La Liga, and he finished, I think, Champions League. I don't think he was he the top? No, he wasn't the top scorer that year. I don't think he was top.
He was.
No,
he was. Oh yeah, he was, and he broke the record for most consecutive games scored in, where he scored in like 9 consecutive games or 7 consecutive games. The point is like this guy, what he did at Madrid is immeasurable, and for him to leave at the top, for me, is beautiful. And to see him to like go on and like have a successful stint at Juve by winning league titles, breaking goals, scoring accolades, I think he's earned that. And like I think that as Madrid, like obviously it's a big loss for us, but I think it came because I would much rather him leave at the top than people call him washed, because Madrid fans, were ruthless. Like we don't care who the player is.
Because what I always found weird was, how do you boo him? Even when he has bad games, how do you boo him? That made no sense to me.
It's because the thing is, the culture of our the club is just that's the nature. It's not a disrespect to the player. Like the real players take it as a challenge. Hence Benzema. Benzema never caused controversy. He gets booed. He got more criticism than any of the Galacticos, any of our new signings, or anything like that. But he stuck through it because they understand, like when you're a professional at the highest level, you understand that these fans are fickle. You're not going to be able to please the fans. And fans that are complacent and stuff like that, I guarantee you they're just used to their clubs not winning. And you can see that with Barcelona. How many managers have Barcelona went through? How many big transfers have Barcelona went through? How many players have they rotated because their fans are just mad? They want these players out. You don't think that like they disrespected some legends? Like look at Piqué. Piqué's a legend for Barcelona. He's part of Barcelona's greatest ever teams, and he's disrespected daily on Twitter. That's a legend that they're disrespecting. Like it's just natural for any club that's so used to winning for them to have higher standards from their players, and we're not booing them without reason. Like for example, Ronaldo. There are certain games where like the thing is he's like Robin in a way where he's very selfish, right? He wants to finish. He doesn't trust anybody else to finish the chance except himself. Yeah. Right, so he's very much like Robin in that sense. But the only problem is when you do that, and you're not giving results, the fans get fed up. When you're taking like 53 kicks and you're not scoring them, the fans start getting fed up. Like fans are gonna boo you. And the thing is,
but do you think that Real made a mistake in selling him, or do you think that they should have kept him?
No, I don't think so. We won the league after he left, right? And he's doing well for himself after he left. I think, like I said, it's just the perfect end to a perfect chapter. Right? You won the 3P at Madrid. You won them 2 La Liga titles. You were top scorer. You made the club amongst the biggest in the world. You made your franchise the biggest in the world, sporting wise. And like Jordan's aside, but like you've done all that. Leave at the top.
Okay.
Always leave them clapping. That's the rule.
So same to you, Muntaha, again, just nice and concise. Did Real Madrid make a mistake in selling Cristiano?
From a Madrid fan perspective, yes. But from but when I see Ronaldo as a legend, I believe he left at the right time. And when you leave by winning 3 in a row that nobody has ever achieved, like in the club history or in Champions League history,
Could have been 4 in a row.
no, I disagree.
Mm,
It's difficult
How do you
for
know?
me.
How do you
Because
know? You don't know.
no, because it's not just Ronaldo left. I think it was Zidane left too at the same time. So
No, as in if Zidane stayed, Cristiano stayed, why couldn't it be 4 in a row?
that's a different story. But like I'm assuming there's Zidane leaving and Ronaldo staying. So in that case, I don't see us winning Champions League, to be honest. So when I see Ronaldo leaving, I think so. From a Ronaldo fan's perspective, I'll say that like that's the perfect segue to go and join Juventus. And to be honest, this guy is phenomenal. He's given everything to the club. I mean, the best transfers I've read said goals, stats, everything, man. So there's everything in his argument ultimately when it comes to at Real Madrid. So I don't have any words to even criticize this guy. Like his Real Madrid career ultimately. So yeah.
Rebirth?
yes. So when it comes to Cristiano, one of my favorite players of all time, really. One thing Red said made me like. I thought of something. So the sentiment here in that, leaving while we're clapping, not staying to the point where, not staying until you become a villain, all those things. Isn't Ronaldo's stint at Juve proof that he didn't decline? At least in terms of his goal scoring. Isn't his, because with Juve, he's working with significantly less. And he's still producing. So isn't that proof that 2 years down the road, he's he would still be producing? And then to the thing Muntaha said, I mean, the thing you said, if he stays, does Zidane stay? And if Zidane stays, does Zidane still get the players he wants? Does he still get Pogba? Does he even go get Hazard to join to what they already have? What happens then? Of course, that's all, we can't really talk about it because, we don't know what happened. But I do think that from Real Madrid's perspective, it was sort of a lose-lose situation, but also a win-win, because at the end of the day, you would have had to part with him eventually. And being that Ronaldo wanted to leave at the point he did, of course, there was some drama involved where they're getting paid more to be the most paid person compared to Messi and things like that. At the end of the day, I think that Cristiano wanted to go, and no player is bigger than the club, and you would have had to deal with it anyway. So how about you deal with the reconstruction after your club has come off a 3P. So it was really the right time for that to happen. So I think either way, had he stayed, I think Real Madrid would have been competing still, but it would have just been a Band-Aid on a really bad wound, because eventually he's going to leave and you want to cash in, because they cashed in big. I mean, they could have cashed in more, but they cashed in more than they would have if they waited till he was older. So at the end of the day,
we broke. The thing is, he cost us, because we bought him for 80 mil and sold him for 100. But with adjustment inflation and everything, we broke even in the end. Yeah. The one thing is, it's not just about the decline, Rebirth. For me, it's the vilification, right? Because the problem is when you shatter these ceilings, right? That is your new standard now, right? So if Ronaldo goes the next season and he doesn't become Champions League top scorer, instantly he's washed, he's finished, he's done. Which they were doing that for 4 years. They did that in 2016, they did that in 2017, they did that in 2018, they did that for his first year in Juve in 2019. Even when he first started the first 4 games, he didn't score. People were always like, oh, he's finished. In beginning 2017-18, he's finished. They just wanted that narrative. And to be honest with you, I just felt like Ronaldo kept on being vilified, and it hurt because he's a player that still made a lot of huge moments for us. And I felt like he was at a point where, you know what? I broke everything there is. I gave Madrid a historic era. There's nothing left. There's nothing left for him to prove in La Liga. I'll be honest with you, I don't give a shit if he wins 10 Copa del Rey's and 10 La Liga titles. None of that matters. He made history by winning the first ever 3P in Champions League history. He was top scorer for all 3 of those Champions League ones. He was instrumental in monumental hat tricks and moments and overhead kicks and headers and just so many moments. There's nothing he has to prove at Madrid anymore. He's the top scorer in half the appearances that Raul had.
But my thing, just to end this, is that That's all great, but if you can get more, you always want more. I don't understand. Quit while you're ahead, and once you've done enough, you don't want to now stay too long, and then perhaps the last thing that people know of you is you failing. But my thing is that, like as Rupert just pointed out, the guy's still scoring at a high rate. And my thing is, even if you don't win the Champions League again, who knows? Maybe you win another league. Maybe you win another league. And now maybe in this position right now, you're not winning CL. Maybe when you do get a Pogba or do get a Salah, my gosh,
Imagine.
Cristiano on one end, Salah on another end, Pogba on another end. That's arguably the strongest team in Europe. So final thing. And then we'll be out of it. This is a little thing that we do on the Complicated Chelsea show. So I'm going to put up an image. And I just want you guys to tell me the first, obviously, first of all, you just take a few minutes to look at the image and just your emotions when you see this image. And then we'll then discuss it. So your first thoughts on your first views when you see this image and some of your thoughts. And everyone else in the live chat, so remember guys, drop a like the vid, I like that vid, subscribe if you're new, like that video, subscribe if you're new. So everyone in the live chat as well, and you guys, your first thoughts when you see this image.
Oh, HH, let me go first. HH, look, for me growing up, HH, Raul is Madridismo. Like he's Madridismo. He's Real Madrid. What I think. I don't think of Iker Casillas as our greatest captain or Ramos or anybody. For me, it's Raul. Pre-Messi, he was considered the greatest La Liga player of all time. Like he was probably, in my opinion, along with Gareth Bale, tied for top best Champions League final players ever. Raul was clutch. And one thing that hurts is that Raul never won a Copa del Rey. So that's why, after Copa del Rey, I don't rate the Copa del Rey. All my homies hate Copa del Rey. But for me, this guy, HH, prolific. He was never great at anything. He wasn't the greatest header. He wasn't the fastest player. He wasn't the best finisher. He wasn't any of that. But HH was a jack of all trades. He could do everything for you. He wanted to score from outside the box, inside the box, and of course the legendary chip. People always tell me the Ronaldo Calma. I go back to the Raul Shush. He has the iconic goal in the Camp Nou, and the ref was against us in that game. Sorry, Barca fans, you can go back and watch. The ref was against us that game, and they were trying to take it away from us. But then Raul equalized, and he just runs around the Camp Nou and just doing the iconic. This guy, HH, is phenomenal. A fantastic player. He came from Atletico's youth, but he developed in his teenage years at Madrid, and he came through the club and he rose through the ranks, and he won Champions Leagues with the club, won La Ligas with the club, back to back. And even a testament to his greatness is look at all the players he played with. R9, Ruud van Nistelrooy, you look at Morientes, you look at and Raul was able to find a spot among them. And he was able to be considered, even amongst the team full of Galacticos, he was considered a star, and he was a natural talent. And he wasn't, like I said, exceptional or anything. There's a video that I recommend to everybody just to show you how amazing Raul was in his youth and how prolific he was, because he does not get because I feel like people for example, always people talk about Thierry Henry, how amazing he was. And people talk about old strikers, they talk about them, how amazing he was, but they never mention Raul. There's a video that shows you all goal scores from the 90s till now. It's like a little bar, and it shows you how much he scored over the years. And go and look at Raul, how he just explodes on the scene and how prolific he was as a goal scorer. Phenomenal player. And I feel, in my opinion, both Spain and Italy in 2002 were robbed.
You stole my points. I'm sorry,
I'm sorry, but it's a point that I feel like Italy could have went back to back in the World Cup. Brazil also were phenomenal, but Spain, I felt those two were robbed, and I feel like Raul never got his fair chance that.
Because see, again, that is exactly where I was going. See, for me, even if we look at Real Madrid, Raul reminded me of Baggio. So you had strikers who were just pure finishers. Then you had the more skilled forwards, and Raul was one of those guys where he was the more skilled forwards, where there was a very high level of a technical ability that he had, and he pretty much used his intelligence. Because as I said, he wasn't strong, he wasn't fast, so he didn't really have the kind of physical attributes to be able to move himself around and so forth. But what he had was just his intelligence, which is that right place at the right time, great ball control, and he used hhis technique and just general footballing ability to be getting goal scoring positions. But with Spain.
One last point, then you could because I also wanted to mention for Raul, It just wasn't for Real Madrid. It just wasn't for Spain. You can go back and look what he did for Schalke. The last trophy Schalke won was with Raul. When Raul went to Schalke, this is how great of a Champions League player he was.
And they were semi-final as well.
They reached the semifinals.
Yeah.
Raul was the Champions League all-time top goal scorer. Right? Like, again, he's not like your average player. I don't think he's the best. Like I saw Splash and said that Totti had the best chips. I do agree with you. Totti does have the best chips.
Totti's chips were crazy.
Insane. But like I think Raul was just great at everything. He was always right. He just had the IQ where he was at the right place, right time. He was able to finish. He would always just have just enough to get the result for you. So yeah, that's my thoughts on Raul. Amazing legend. One of Madrid's all-time great captains.
What's it called? My thing is Spain. Remember that Spain team? You had Raul, you had Joaquin, you had Mendieta. I think you had Mendieta. Like it was a quality team. And look, same thing with this. They just got screwed. Like that was one of the best Spain teams. Was that 2002 team? Because they were far better than they were like in 94 or in 98. Like obviously we know they have their golden generation, but I think that 2002 team is forgotten. And I think that was really Raul's chance to really show himself on the world stage. But yeah, I think for Raul, it's just one of those guys of where, and that's just the beauty about football, and that's why football is so great, where even if you're not the biggest or the strongest, as long as you're intelligent and you just have the skill, you'll be able to be good. And he just showed you that as long as you have intelligence and you use your smarts, you can still be in a very effective striker without being the strongest or the fastest. Muntaha.
Yeah, man. When I watch this guy, man, I think so. This guy is, for me, is the best striker in Madrid's history. I rate him above Di Stefano as a centre forward or striker, if you want to call it. And when you talk about this guy, it reminds me of 2000s Valencia. I didn't watch that game, to be honest, but like when I watched that full game, full match, oh my God, Raul's performance was insane. And look at this goal he scored in Valencia. And one more thing I think so you guys missed is that I think so he wasn't a part of 2010 Spanish World Cup winning team. I believe he should be there. That's my take. I believe because Raul was there, Raul magic was there.
Time actually, you can go back to like there was a lot of headlines talking about like criticism that they didn't call up Raul, but people all but when you saw if you go and see polls and like forums from back then, it was like pretty split 50-50. People said that the generation had to move on, they had to go forward, and they wanted to play David Villa at the time, who and Fernando Torres. Actually, 2008 was when he wasn't first called up, and it was Fernando Torres who they called up instead, which I felt was fair. Fernando Torres was phenomenal that year.
To be honest, because if you see the Raul scoring charts was like 20 Gs every season, so I believe he should be the part of 2010 Spanish World Cup winning team. And other than that, man, this guy was like a Mr. Champions League prior to Ronaldo. To be honest, because if you see the most amounts of goals scored, like in the knockout competitions, in the knockout stages, and even overall goals scored, and then like some serious like final goals as well. Like he scored in one final as well for us, Real Madrid. I think this guy is for me is like a best striker for us. I think so. For me, you can say Benzema. Some people might say Benzema is better striker, more talented than Raul. I agree, but for me, as a legacy-wise, for me, Raul is the best striker for Real Madrid.
Oh, Red, your voice.
No, sorry. I said I love Benzema, but I will never rate Benzema above Raul. For me, Raul, for Madrid, he's one of my favorite players of all time. The only player that in my lifetime that I've seen that great above him is just Zidane and Ronaldo. But that's it. Aside from that, Raul is up there.
Ronaldo as in real Ronaldo or Zidane?
No, Cristiano Ronaldo. I'm talking for Madrid. Objective point of view. But just my opinion on my club. They're my top 3 players ever.
One more thing I just disagree with you, Red. I don't think Raul is the best captain for us. Nah.
No. I understand. That's why I prefaced it with my opinion. I don't think because of course, if you want to talk about our captains, you can go back to the 60s side. You have of course the 2010s. You have Ramos, what he did. You have Iker Casillas had his successful stint. These were all amazing captains. Just for me personally, just what embodies Madridismo, what embodies the spirit of Madrid. I feel like Raul was the original archetype for my generation, at least. Because after that you had Casillas, and after that you had Ramos. But sorry, go ahead.
So guys, final thing, and then we'll be out of here. Let's take some questions, man. The guys who've been here with us for almost 3 hours, and I think it's only fair that we take some questions for us. But so look, it is what it is, man. Look, whenever you talk football, the time just goes.
True.
Do you guys think? So obviously, to you two, do you guys think we should have signed Cavani this summer and sent Jovic on loan? He would have been perfect, in my opinion.
In my opinion, I do think we should have. I do think we should have because, like, look, I'm of the I like youth talent sprinkled in the squad. I don't like youth talent being the majority of the squad. Cavani may not be like the best strikers in Europe, but he's an efficient goal scorer. He's a goal scorer that can get you those clutch goals.
You've seen what's good for United because I told United fans because when they went for Cavani, they're like, "Oh my, he's too old." Cavani is a proven goal scorer, and that's what you have. You don't lose with age. Where movement and just reaction and ability to be the right person at the right time, that is a goal scoring thing that is very vital to have.
If not for Cavani, they wouldn't be in the top spot right now. He scored them 2 clutch goals that got them those vital points. That's what a difference a great goal scorer does. He doesn't need to score 20 goals a season. I'll be honest with you. Like, I didn't rate Ronaldo because he has 450 goals. It's because he was consistent goaling in different matches. Because, like, for me, like, what's the point if let's say, because I hate when people skew stats and be like, oh, this player has 6 goals in 6 games. But then you go and watch the games. For 5 of them, he was trash. And then in 1, he scored 6 goals. And now his ratio looks fine. And I know that's an extreme example, but people do that to twist stats and make players look better than they really are. And like Cavani's not that type of striker. He just like stat pads. But he will always get you 1 or 2 goals, 1 or 2 goals. Remember against Portugal in the World Cup? He was insane that match. Like the way, like, and when you see a quality of a finisher, because I remember his goal against Portugal, I think it was his first goal. The way he's one-on-one with the goal.
Was that the header or the?
No, the other one. He opens his body up and he finesses it around the keeper. That was that's an experienced striker knows that. He knows the goalkeeper is going to commit once he does that. Once he commits, he's just rounded around the goalkeeper in the opposite direction. That is the testament of a quality striker. So in my opinion, Cavani should have actually been, and he was linked, but we didn't get him.
Montajo?
Yeah, for me, should I disagree with Red and you? He should. For me, I think so. We hardly played with 2 striker formation, and we cannot afford to play with a 2 striker formation right now. And with regards to Cavani, for me, I don't want to, like, pretty much, in a sense, like I want clear and straight path for Benzema ultimately. So when you have Cavani, then you have another competition. I don't want those kind of disturbances in the team right now. And when you talk about goal scoring, I want a different kind of goal scorer from different position, not from a striker perspective, because our striker is scoring goals for us. So what would have Cavani added to our team? Not much, I believe. And you can see, I mean, we only played 1 game this season with the two striker formation, I guess, and that's also against Real Betis, where Jovic played and he helped us to get a red card, to Real Betis player. But ultimately, yeah. So I don't think so. Cavani would have added much of an impetus to our team. Yeah.
I'll go first on this one. Yes.
Oh, see, my thing about it, I 100% like Pogba is French, Zidane's French. Zidane and Pogba, you already know that those guys are close. Zidane, 100%, one of his priorities is Pogba.
Like the thing is, what was Zidane as a player? His profile, big, technical, right? And just physical with his football. Like he would, like, let's say for example, a player comes and goes, he doesn't mind touching shoulders and shrugging players off and shielding the ball. Pogba is Zidane in 2018.
Yep.
Not an exact replica, but he's of the same profile as Zidane. And I think Zidane sees a lot of him in Pogba, and he wants to bring him in. I feel like Pogba is one of those players that's very harshly criticized. People want him to do everything. Oh, United are not scoring? Pogba's fault. Oh, United are conceding? Pogba's fault. Oh, United are doing anything that happens, it's Pogba's fault. And I feel like he's very unfairly criticized, and that's why a lot of his stock market has really diminished over the years, right? Like, people always say, like, oh, look at Bruno Fernandes and his effect on United. Let's analyze, like, the United situation. Who are the 2 players that pass to each other the most? Pogba and Bruno Fernandes. Yep. They combine the most out of all United's 11. It's because when you bring a quality player and put him with another quality player, they elevate each other. They can play off each other. This guy really, like, how is Pogba supposed to combine with Fred and McTominay? No disrespect to those players, but McTominay is a player that came from Shakhtar Donetsk, not really like a great club or a great, like, level of football. And McTominay is a youth talent that's coming up through the ranks, right? So Pogba really needs somebody of his ilk and talent to really be able to release himself, and you see that at France. And when you see Bruno Fernandes came in, all of a sudden nobody criticizes Pogba anymore. I'll give you an example. I hate to hate on KDB, but KDB scored his first open play goal against Chelsea of the season. Nobody said anything about KDB not scoring an open play goal or anything. Pogba will score a free kick, and people will be like, "Oh, it's a deflection. Oh, it's like this." Pogba will score a goal. Oh, they just got lucky. Look at United in the general. Anything that he does, it doesn't matter. He's just always criticized. So, in my opinion, Pogba's still an elite midfielder. I still would much like in my opinion, he should be our number 2 signing after we get a forward in the summer. Get a forward, get Pogba. Pogba's versatile. You want attack, he can contribute attack. You want defense, he can contribute in defense. You want possession, he can possess. And the thing is, he's a B-Tech Toni Kroos. His long balls are incredible. The way he switches play and holds possession, he's phenomenal. He's everything we need.
Musa?
Yeah, for me, I think so. This is the right time for Pogba, and I love that guy, man. That guy's extremely flair player, but I'm more inclined towards a player like KDB because I'm a bit more biased with the goal scoring. That's my point. So I'm like a bit biased with more goal scoring stats. So that's why I'm a bit more inclined towards KDB. But Pogba is extremely technical player, and if we get him and we try to integrate like next to Valverde, Cruz, and then you have Casemiro, that would be beautiful, man. That would be beautiful. Like you have like Pogba can play number 10 in a sense. AM role for you.
So would Pogba be like a priority signing for you then?
Yes. Pogba's like for me. I want first like a world class attacker. That's priority number 1. Regardless, you sign Salah or like Mbappe or Haaland, for example. Any one of them. And then next Pogba, as Red said. So yeah, I agree with that.
Okay, so let me just see the future. Osasuna says Madrid's spirit, in my opinion, is winning at all costs. I feel Ramos actually encapsulates us better than Raul, but I definitely understand Red's perspective. Yeah, no, for me, I think it's a different thing because I think like Ramos is much more about the intangibles. Raul is much more just how good of a player he was. Like, I think that's based on his role and so forth. Technically speaking, Raul was an outstanding striker. So, and the GM says, play people disrespect Vinicius too much. Our future.
Yeah.
Okay,
Criticism. It's valid criticism.
So, last one, and then we'll be out of here. Do you think Hazard should be offloaded?
Do you want me to go first, CGH?
Yeah, go for it.
I don't think he should be offloaded. He hasn't been given a fair chance. He's been unlucky. Look, he's been underwhelming, yes, but he hasn't been given a fair chance. In my opinion, having a fair chance is getting like 13, 14 run of games, right? Like when you're like actually get to perform 90 minutes, you actually get to play. He hasn't really gotten that at Madrid. And like his injury coming in from Chelsea, like that, his foot injury, like that's also hindered him in addition to his weight issues. So like, in my opinion, I feel like Hazard does deserve to at least run get a 3-4 year stint at Madrid. He has that high ceiling where we could rely on him and hopefully he can deliver.
Monta?
For me, man, if he flopped the season, I think so we should offload him. And like I'm thinking from the perspective of a club, because in terms of monetary weight, because like if, for example, if you sell him right at the end of the season, you can at least make something out of it, right? But what if like if you give him one more season and like again flopped it, so what are you gaining? You're gaining pretty much nothing, yeah. So he'll be like 30, 31 by the end of next season. So I believe if he flopped the season, offload him.
Okay, so guys, man, that has been so much. So guys, remember, this is the first of many club shows that will be occurring because my schedule is quite tight every Tuesday. So check and we'll see what's happening every Tuesday. So obviously I'd like to thank Red and Muntaha coming on, man. I mean, we spoke for almost 3 hours and so forth. And I think that, look, as I said again, for Real Madrid, it's going to be a very interesting decade because I feel that things happen in decades and shifts. And I think they happen in momentum shifts. And I feel that this is maybe what we will talk about when we do the Barcelona show. I truly fear for Barcelona post-Messi. I think that is something that Barcelona fans have not really taken fully into account. And I think for Real Madrid, I think this could be their decade. But my only question is, what is the team going to look like? You know, so who replaces Benzema? Who replaces Ramos? And by the time we get to 2025, all of these, like what's it called, Modric, Kroos,
all guards are gone,
Ramos,
yeah.
thingy, they'll all be gone. So what will a Real Madrid look like midway through the decade when all those players have to have been gone for? And that is the key thing. So, and the question is it, and I think we even mentioned this about an hour ago, people they give Zidane all the praise in the world. They don't trust him for the rebuild process. And any responsible club or president, you have to think 4, 5, 6 years ahead. So the question is, maybe Zidane isn't the man to really, basically, like, Real Madrid don't have a Fergie, which is this is the guy that is in charge for the next 10, 15 years and understands the youth and can break, rebuild. Because what made Fergie so good was he could break, rebuild, rebuild. I don't think Zidane has it, and I don't know whether Zidane wants to do that. So my thing is it a case of you wait on a Nagelsmann and see what a Nagelsmann does? Is there a shocking thing where you now poach a Jurgen Klopp? Pep already know that's never happened because he's Catalan. So that's definitely interesting. So, Red, any final words before we sign out?
Nope, that's all. I just want to say thank you, HH, for having me. Thank you for bringing me on. I always love discussion. I think we should do another one maybe in a couple of months when we're closer to the Champions League. I would, it's been a pleasure. And Real Madrid.
Monsa, any final words?
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me too, man. And man, I'm telling you, Real Madrid is the flipping what do you call face of Champions League, huh? And Barcelona fans, stay away from us, huh? You have 5 Champions League, we have 13, huh? Get the hell out of here. I'm just kidding. Real Madrid.
Okay, so guys, remember, man, for anybody who is supporters of whether it's Liverpool, Bayern Munich, Juventus, Man United, or so forth, email me or get me on Twitter if you want to be part of the show. Remember, I think ideally you need a great mic, you need a great camera, and just as you've seen from this show, because I think we had really, really good guys who, as you heard from these guys are knowledgeable. They have good mics and they are very concise and very good in how they get. So this is the standard I want with these shows, is what Red, Monsa, and Rebirth showed. They've set the benchmark really high. So for guys who want to come and do this stuff, you have to follow what Red, Monsa things did, where you see the knowledge they have, their mic skills, and their confidence in how they bring up and they know their stuff. So that's what I want from you guys with the shows moving forth. So guys, peace out. Stay true. Stay real. Adios, guys. Peace.
Peace.